generally speaking, there's the defunding of the police department. I remember for sure. But a couple of the others, I didn't memorize them, but I'm sure they're along those lines of using the police station as a community center, like repurposing it, which is cool. I'm for that. Oh, people are getting a little hostile. I guess I didn't need to tell you that. When is the Pearl Jam concert? You tell me. I'm a big fan. I don't have welfare, but you know, to those that do, I'm sure they need it. Oh, weed's always around. Always. Jazz Boatman. I love it. Yes, this is the precinct right in front. Seattle's People's Department. It's not leaderless, it's leader full. There's a difference. Some of them are bored, some of them are just, tired. Oh, thanks for watching. I appreciate it, guys. It's still empty, but the police chief Beth, Carmen Beth, she came through earlier while it was raining. I guess she knew people wouldn't really be out that much. And she came and did a little press show, I guess. And then we saw her video. She said to the officers, come out today. And she was like, there are protesters who are stopping and asking for identification and proof that you live here. And it's like, no, bro. Lies. I have not seen that. And if it's anyone, it's Raz. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding, Raz. I don't know. But I definitely haven't seen that happen. Yes, it's a revolution. But thank you for asking, because I like the way you think. But yeah, this is what I like tonight sometimes. Hey, democracy isn't always interesting.
Whose lives matter?
I'm not going to resist anything from the police because I am still black.
Every day.
I don't know. They're gaining support because of Trump tweeting about how much he didn't want this place. You know how some people work. They're like, anything he says, they fucking hate it. So, or in this case, love it because he hates it. Obama could have done a lot more, but like with 8 more years, yes, I don't mean like he didn't do enough. He did a lot with the situation, no matter, regardless of like the obvious flaws of his administration. I think we should definitely commend what he did in comparison to what's happening now. Who is my leader? Mostly my cats. Yeah, they have jobs. I have a job. My girlfriend has a job. A lot of these people have jobs. Some of them probably lost their jobs because of COVID. Some of them probably their job is to be an activist or like a news reporter or like, stuff like that. Yeah, it's still about Black Lives Matter. But the thing is that a lot of other ideas are blooming from the Black Lives Matter movement, and that's just the way movements work, So I'm not opposed to anyone adding on their ideas as long as they're willing to like have an open and honest discussion about it and admit that they started from Black Lives Matter.
I really enjoyed when my dad.
I know there's people like that all over. I won't repeat what you said because that's kind of offensive, Jamie, but there's all kinds of people here. I don't know why it's not on CNN. I think they probably just don't want to capture the chill moments. They're going to wait till the cops come back in, and then, then they're going to roll the cameras. 5G Gorilla, cool. Random, cool. Yeah, some people definitely physically resist because that's just how they've been this whole time, and I commend them because they have courage that I do not, and we need that.
So, Seattle is interesting.
I don't know who's going to be in charge of enforcing anything because, like I said, it's a leader-full movement. Everyone's kind of checking each other, so we'll just see how it goes. I have one black cat who's 4 years old. His name's Steinbeck, and I have a beautiful little female tabby who's 1 year old named Honey. They're my pure heart and soul. Yeah, Rassimon, he holds his own streams. He's got a little reputation. I'm surprised he isn't on like Wikipedia by now, unless he already is. Maybe I'll make it tonight. He's got a lot of information surrounding him right now, so We can talk more about that later if you want. I got to do my research, quite frankly. Who sets up security for shows? I'm sure there's a core group just similar to like the Occupy movement when I was a part of that. Like you have people who maybe took the initial lead and are now in charge of like taking watch, because I still see people on watch, but you see different people all the time, so it's probably just one of those like open networks where it's like, hey, if you want to do security, we'll just have a chat and show you how we do it, and then you do it. So it just shows how little I know about who is doing security. They seem like nice people. No police, not right now. Turn my phone the other way. Okay, cool.
I can see.
Yeah, I need to move to America. I mean, you're probably right about my Wi-Fi second, but the rest of that statement is questionable, buddy. Okay, yeah, I feel you, Jamie. I feel you. Antifa is a bunch of PX, UX, SX, a lot of X. Isn't it ironic? Okay, Alanis Morissette. Give us some food then. Okay, the whole Wallace argument is really silly because I'm going to show you these Wallace people keep making jokes about. They're like, oh, I guess liberals do think walls work. Okay, I'm getting a little petty, but only because I have seen these so-called walls, and this is not what Trump had in mind. So please, don't go for the low wall. It's like, just maybe if the walls were a little bigger, I would understand. But like, come on. That's what you want? That's what Mexico's paying for? Cool. Oh, you want the phone to be horizontal? Maybe I'll do another stream later because my phone's gonna die soon, and I'll do it horizontally. So, are you a member of the LGBTQP? Yes, I am the L, and I am an L. I yes. Yeah, I know it's open carry, but as far as like people feeling safe, no one's like waving their gun in the air. Don't be deceived. I mean, Antifa is like an idea. Maybe you're thinking of black anarchists, but I don't know. You let me know. Communism and starvation. I guess that's the main takeaway in the history books. But I don't know. You notice. I think the history books have kind of, fabricated certain details. They're just not that particular one, but like it's hard for me to trust everything they say. So I also haven't read a history book in a while, so also kind of thinking about the fact that I don't know much about what you're talking about. Oh my god. I am gonna go home when I get hungry. I always do.
You gotta educate yourself. You need to wash. Cool. You need to know what the fuck is going on to black people in Seattle.
People have already gone to jail. Hopefully no one else goes, but yes, I am lesbian. Papa John. Thank you. I appreciate that. Hark it. Okay, Antifa, once again, to my knowledge, is an ideology, but if you feel threatened by that, that's your prerogative. I do feel threatened by people who want to watch the world burn, which sounds a lot like black anarchists, but also, I don't know their life, so I'm not going to make any blanket statements just yet about that. No, not everyone's living here. Just about a third. No, I'm kidding. It's a decent amount of people that stay overnight. Am I a part of Antifa? Yes, because I'm anti-fascist. But do I have like a group text with other people like me? No. It's just me, my girlfriend, and my cats. But yes, we have a group text.
I was doing that for Malcolm X.
Oh, there's a flag. I'm always late to the party when it comes to flags. I just learned that furries have their own flag. I'm like, dude, too many flags, not enough poles. I mean, if people go crazy, it's not going to be because most people here are crazy. Like, you got to be prepared for, someone going rogue. But when it comes to the police, I think it's because they actually get paid to protect and serve. Like, if we all got paid to be out here, which some of you think we are, but no, definitely not me. It's like, yeah, we're here for the same idea generally, but if something goes down, it's like, well, fuck, we're not on a payroll to necessarily like be in control of every employee. Like, we don't know these people entirely, but we all have the hope and the faith that most of us are here in good faith. Yeah, they basically blocked the road from anyone driving through it again because somebody got shot when the brother of a police officer of this precinct came through with his truck and just went through a group of protesters. So maybe you didn't know that, maybe you did, but that's why they have the barricades mostly now. I don't live inside the zone, which sounds really cool. The zone, I love this laser tag place in San Diego called Ultra Zone, so it'd be cool if we got laser tag donated. But no, I live close by, but I have my own apartment. And if I'm against anti-fascist, then I am a fascist. Well, fuck, you got me there. My brain's broken after reading that one. If the police do come, there's no like general plan. Like there's some groups that are like, hey, if the police come, we're going to meet here, or don't forget the medic tent's there. But everyone's like their own person, so it's just kind of been like with the protests, every man for themselves. But you'll find that people usually come together anyways, which is really beautiful to witness, especially when you're scared like me and you don't know what's going to happen. So you usually run first. But when I look back and I see people, I'm just like blown away. No, I'm just like, I'm really terrified of the police. That's a big part of why I'm here. And if my phone dies, I apologize, guys, because it's like low on battery. But like I said, I'll charge it and come back if that happens. Hide, disperse, resist. I am definitely a hide and disperse kind of person. If I can't disperse, I will hide. And if I can't hide, I will resist. But that is the last result every time. Yeah, I saw a Freemason symbol spray painted, which is back to my previous point. If you get offended by every single thing that some random person in this movement does, like I get it if it was like nothing but Freemason symbols, I'd be terrified. But there was just one, and mostly beautiful paintings, and one Freemason symbol just comes with the territory. Yeah, I don't think it's obscene unless you mean like it's an obscene amount of money that they have. And in that case, I agree. But I don't think it's obscene to defund or reallocate those funds. What is it called? Divest, invest. Think of it as just like smart financing, effective stuff, accounting. I don't know. Thank you. Thanks for watching. I appreciate that. Games, Jane. Oh, thank you for the compliment about the hat. Geek wonk. You guys are making me say the weirdest like phrases out loud. No borders, no walls. Jazz Bono's around. You know what, buddy? Just inspired me to make a new sign. I'm going to put by End the Fed 1776. Don't worry, I'll give you credit. Trump 2020. Okay, a little creepy, but possibly the reality.
So that's a message.
Yes, I'm a lesbian. Have I seen Kyle? Okay. Who is Kyle? This is the second time. I don't know if you're the same person that I asked earlier, but I don't know any Kyles. I wish I did. Like, I don't know enough Kyles.
You know what?
Thanks for watching, guys. They want worse than that look at their demands. I don't know. I'll have to look over that list again. Maybe by the time that I come back on the stream, I'll have the list up for you guys to debate directly. Will this action help Seattle? I hope so. I certainly hope so. I hope so. I certainly hope so. I feel like the
Every time. I do it every time. Every time. What we're buying, the clear message is right now we have an autonomous zone in the United States. It's like, this is America. Like 2 weeks ago, I was watching videos of, still fucked up shit's going on. But right now, imagine we have a fucking, I haven't slept on it. We have an autonomous zone, right? We need to talk about abolishing SPD. Defunding is inherent in abolishment. If you abolish the police force, you're not going to take all the police in one day. Abolishment, you look at Minneapolis' model. So what we need is abolishment. Abolishment happens over 10 years. And that money is getting reallocated. So first off, why were we here? Black Lives Matter, right? So we need to abolish the police. We have legal precedent, right? These are tangible steps. And you guys need to tell your friends this. I can't explain this all for you. You guys need to know that we have legal precedent. What do we have? Alright. The second thing that came out of this is an autonomous zone. We have an amazing opportunity. We have an amazing opportunity to have I don't want to say reconciliation, but we have an amazing opportunity to keep this autonomous zone, use it as a model, and have our indigenous brothers and sisters help us out, help us with this. But the core thing is we need to see how that's relatable to here. So, brother, I feel like we need the Wamish whose land, this is where they were. We need them in our planet. You can't say no autonomous zone. We have to get the Wamish in, and we have to keep doing that. And we have to stand with it. Because if we as indigenous and black people don't stand together, who the fuck's gonna, we need solidarity. You know what I'm saying? So my point is, we also need to find a route of reparations for the world. This is first and foremost, number one goal, right, is abolish SPD, right? Look at the legal precedent in Minneapolis. Second off is in a city where we have a 2-year white man, where we have one of the richest cities in this country. We need to be recognized, we need reparations as well. If I'm not going to be a black person, I could get my rights. I can abolish the SPD and stand strong with my brothers for what they deserve, and it has historical context. So think about every time you say Seattle, think about that's a fake ass, Anglicized Salish name itself. So also, just think about that. Think about that as well.
Quick question for you, because I'm going to speak from the other side as far as the question. First of all, man, my brother out here sharing his heart, pouring his heart out. You know what I mean? He didn't come here to speak. He saw the opportunity, the need to speak, to hear that voice. Chris, so I applaud you on that. The message that he brings, he's talking about indigenous people. We're talking about the black community and the Native American community being two of the most impoverished people, in the world. And the same issues that are facing our urban black communities, the same issues that are being faced in Native American communities across the world. And I spend most of my time in both of those neighborhoods. So I know exactly what you mean. But my question is this. So when you talk about the abolishment of the police department and police in general across the nation, my question is, how do we then, as a people, begin to protect one another? As far as what police were supposed to be doing is protecting and serving the community, right? Now, we agree that there's been a misuse of force. There's been all kinds of different racially profiled. Even my own self, just 2 nights ago, got pulled over with my braids flaming through the wind, and an officer coming by and telling me to put my hands on the wheel and all this other stuff. And I had to, you got to act a certain way, to be able to speak to that officer, to things to not to progress, right? I shouldn't have to do that. That shouldn't be the case, right? Now, what I'm asking you the question is when you talk about abolishing a police department or police force in general, what do you propose moving forward? How do we protect and serve our community? some criminals, you know what I mean? Because I was once that criminal. Dropped out of high school, selling drugs, looking at 69 years of robberies at 17 years old. I was that person that preyed upon the weak. If there was no police officers, there's no telling what I would have been doing out there. So what do we do with this?
In that case, that's a great question, right? But this is good. This is good.
Yeah, I want her to go quick if she can. Let her speak on this legal precedent as well, and then you guys follow that question.
So this is not a policy decision, but social adjustment. I assume a lot of folks know that they were installed. History there. The indigenous folks of this region took a military installation and abandoned. They held it until the government ceased to them. So there is a legal precedent for doing that in the state of Washington.
Yeah. I just want to take a moment, you guys. This is the power of education. I'm sorry, bro. I'm going to give you the mic in just a second. This is the power of education. They don't want us to know the truth. You guys, I'm a history major myself, as I mentioned as well. He's speaking the truth. I can vouch for it. He's speaking the truth. And like he said, we can't be scared to speak the truth. They're going to call us terrorists. They've been doing it for over a week, you guys. I am against fascism. I am against fascism. When I see fascism, I am anti-that. Do you know what that makes me? That makes me what? That makes me Antifa, right? I am Antifa. Alright.
So, I understand the conditions of Guam people should be governed in the conditions of their land being reclaimed. And it's fair to acknowledge that that is a movement that needs to happen. But this movement right here doesn't just go for land grab. We don't have, at the end of the day, if we wanted to do a autonomous zone, we never will have a land that we can ever take. We don't have a land grab. So at the end of the day, we are progressing the conditions of the narrative for our entire disenfranchisement. They stole our culture, our land, every aspect of our economic opportunities, and they continue to shut us down, and we are targets. Just like every list that was written in the name of the Black Lives Matter, we are on that list. We just have not been checked off yet. And it's imperative to acknowledge that this movement can turn into those other things. But taking this building is not as important as getting our equity. Until we at least have some sort of equity or a condition of our training and power as everyone else, then we're still in the space. So understanding that autonomy will do something, but at the end of the day, the one we started with, this was for the people. If we're going to do that, we need to move how it should be done. And us as a melanated people who don't have a land at all, we can't even do that for ourselves. So that autonomy doesn't work in the conditions of taking back our brothers and sisters' land over the oppressor. It doesn't work like that, really. We can all work together to make that happen and inspire that change. But this movement isn't necessarily going in that direction. We have to come from that dollar amount. Because the United States is now our land. But we're targets here. So when we acknowledge that, sure, it's good. But we need to democracy people here so we can support them taking that back. We need to use the privilege of the crowd to start accepting the positions of those rights that are supposed to be given to us. That's why we're here. Legally doing what we can, and we've never been allowed to legally do. So if we're going to do that, just acknowledge that the order of operations is not facilitate properly. And that's why we are here. Because Black Lives Matter is always there. And they just haven't managed their own thing. And that doesn't mean it's great for the place that you don't, but it's a condition of the society. It's systemic. We don't even have it for each other. We get in arguments and fights and kill each other too because of the ingrained injustice. And we're breeding the conditions of that oppression. Hate is not even no longer learned. Everyone says it's learned. It's ingrained. I don't have to see McDonald's sign to know what McDonald's is as a child. Kids kids know what all this shit is before they see it so ingrained in the culture. You don't have to even think that. That's how racism is so prevalent. You have never even seen a black person to have that prejudice because of the way the culture is set up. So understanding, yeah, that's good, autonomy, take that lane. We still need that equity. Because once we leave that autonomous zone, we're targeted. So I understand what you're saying, that's a good problem. But we need to drop an order of operations.
We all came together because we all witnessed the man George Floyd. We are all here because we have seen over the years the injustice that has continually been perpetuated by this broken system. We are here because we are tired of people being killed or beaten because of the color of their skin. We are here because we are tired of children not having the same opportunities because of the color of their skin. But this fight is bigger than just that. This fight is about injustice. This fight is about saving lives. When we say Black Lives Matter, we say Black Lives Matter because right now Black lives are being genocided. They're being genocided according to every stipulation that the UN has defined the word genocide by. And it has remained that way. We are still here sitting. We charge genocide, and we are still here screaming Black Lives Matter. And we will not stop screaming that until justice has been served and this broken system has been fixed. Whose lives matter? Whose lives matter?
Say, everybody, you guys did it. I'm just here to remember, those people that can't be here for us, and just to, give a few words on their behalf. I didn't plan on speaking today, but I want to say my brother Malcolm definitely inspired me. I do a lot of youth advocacy for our community. Outside of this, when people are riding the Black Way, and we definitely let that Black Lives still matter every fucking day outside of this. We wake up and go to sleep with Target. So when you guys aren't here, which we appreciate more than anything, I'm half white, half black, so don't think that I'm choosing any sides, I'm divided. And I'm just trying to bring unity, because you can't have a community without that. And ultimately, I just wanted to speak to you guys, just take a second. I'm not trying to do anything like that, I'm just sharing my opinion. And the things that I've been looking into, just to keep the conversation going. When we first came to this community, as the brother said, it was the Oregon Territory, and the only place that black people, because that was the majority of the intelligent black people, intelligent population in America after being released from slavery. And they told us the only place we could live in the Oregon region was here in the Central District. So our grandparents, great-grandparents, didn't run here. We fled here as refugees in our own country for a better land that we thought would be a promised piece of the North. And we still face, segregation through redlining. I mean, and it still continues into today, especially after Amazon came in and wiped out the Seattle population. It's less than 18% of us with birth certificates that say Seattle living in our city right now. And my Seattle, so I'm here to speak on behalf of us too. We mentioned Sean Floyd, but nothing that really bothered me that I have to speak up is there's a young man named Elijah McClain. I don't know if anybody knows this man's name, but he was missing on Facebook for a while. Come to find out, he wasn't missing. The police killed him the same way they killed George Floyd and having the evidence from his family the whole time. So this just happened within the past couple of months in Aurora. So his name's Elijah McClain. Look him up and go ahead and try to donate to his organization or somewhere. But just more further to speaking on the facts, a lot of stuff that I've been doing for the community. I went to our city hall and do a lot of advocacy work. Do a lot of stuff in the social services. I really think we pay a lot of fucking tax money in this city. And we should have more options when you dial 911 and just file medical and health. We should have to dial 211 and get the services that left over from the scraps. So I'm going to pick them all today. I have children, my father, so I got to make sure that my children don't have to be told the same story that I was told by my grandparents. This injustice and inequality. So again, you guys did this peacefully. Remember, Seattle, you guys got the attention of the world. This doesn't happen every day. I mean, I can't remember the last time this happened. It might have caused a big promotion, but I mean, we're doing to do that because every day we're doing a big promotion. If I gotta go to jail, I spent 6 years of my life incarcerated with drugs as well, so I'm okay with sitting down and doing some time. I can't stop the clock. And again, I have people that can't be here to fucking speak on their behalf. So if I gotta sit down and counter a little bit, just be sure you guys write me a letter, all right? I'll write back. I'll write back. But again, we're doing this peacefully. And we're seeing time is done because the president of Greek down there in his bunkers tweeted about how he took this land from us. So this is recognized land that we took back from our people, for our people, for us, together. We did it together. Remember, the civil rights movement wasn't for black people. It was for civil recognition of colored people, for everybody, so that we can see these beautiful faces here that have migrated today. Because we wouldn't be seeing these migrated faces today if it wasn't for Martin Luther King going up and fighting for everybody's rights. But again, people fail to realize that push was pushed by a big influence of the white community at that time. So again, you guys are here outlining with us, and we really appreciate that more than you guys will ever know. You know, there's been some neglect in the community, but we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about the future, and we need to do longevity. We need to unite more. We need to find more organization amongst ourselves. That's first and foremost. One thing I haven't been saying, you know, a lot of organizations, y'all got a message, y'all got an opinion, y'all got an but we all got a cause. And that's for equality and justice. Don't forget that no matter what religion, no matter what color, no matter what creed, or what background you come from, we're all in this for each other, justice for each other. That's the message. Good job, Seattle, we did it. Keep it going. This is just the start. This is just the start. Whose lives matter? Whose lives matter? Whose lives matter? And this time when I say his name, I want you guys to say Sean Furr. For you guys that who do not know, Sean Furr was killed by Seattle Police Department. Okay? He was holding his daughter in his arms and they shot him in his head. That's crazy. The back of his head. He wasn't even facing it. Say his name! Say his name! Say his name! Say his name! Alright, good time. I'm gonna say her name, and you guys are gonna say Breonna Taylor. Say her name! Say her name! Say her name! This time I'm gonna say her name, you guys are gonna say Charlene Lyle. Say her name! Say her name! Say her name! This time I'm gonna say his name, you guys are gonna say Malik Taylor. And for who don't know who Malik Taylor was, Malik Taylor was paraplegic and he was shot 67 times by the police and thrown away. Say his name! Say his name! Whose lives matter? And again, we're not saying all lives don't matter because we obviously know they do, but until Black Lives Matter, we can't really have that discussion that all lives matter. You understand? Yesterday, I don't know how many of you guys were here, but the People's Assembly has agreed to have a facilitator come in, and he's going to have some thinking groups set up to be had. But facilitators here, I'm going to have them discuss everything, but I'm going to pass the mic over.
I just wanted to bring some facilitation and some group activities with all of us to kind of get involved. It feels as if this movement was all instinctive. We all felt that pain. You know, that first Friday when we saw Minneapolis take their precinct. The whole world felt that pain. It was like, you know what, let's get out in the streets. We had something like 10, 20,000 folks out here those next following days. It was all instinctive. That's a beautiful thing. But if we want to make this a long-lasting movement and actually make some real change and come up with some real demands, we have to take it from being instinctive to slightly organized. I'm not talking about make this a 501c3 and all that. I'm just talking, let's just organize this just slightly, right, sis? So what we need to do is keep it decentralized, right? What happened in Ferguson? They targeted folks. What happened in Ferguson? They came out with the Black Lives Matter and pushed that hashtag. That's all they did. And about a dozen or so black leaders came up missing, murdered, lynched, burned alive. So I really don't want that to happen to these folks out here. We gotta decentralize this shit, and that's what Nikita Aldrin was trying to say. Stop calling her the people's mayor. She doesn't want to be the leader of this because she doesn't want a target on her head. She She wants the long-lasting organizing power. But what we need to do is keep the people power. Decentralize it. All of y'all are standing here watching around. I want us to, we all are feeling something right now. We need to speak up. Dig deep. Decentralize. We need to talk about tactics. We're going to have one group to talk about tactics. One group to talk about the vibe that they're feeling around here. One group to talk about how we can make this a long-lasting experience. This is why you want to keep decentralized. This is not a public forum. Next time, man. Oh, yeah.
It looks like the police are why we're here. Black lives matter. 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 All right. We need bodies in front of every entrance. Every entrance. So find an entrance and stand next to it. Stand next to the barricade. Find a street, stand next to it. Somebody please, it's very important that you tell the people what's going on and we not let it still be. Because if the bank understand, it's not letting them come in and divide us, and not what's going on. But I know that I will be here for 10 days to hold these police officers accountable. The police officers go to see what he told me. It's taken him 10 days to get that set at the time, and I was expecting.
Tom 5 is 10-2. Do I have my top 50 units here?
So,
14:59 hours. Motor vehicle incident on Channel 6. Engine 30. Rainier Avenue South and Letitia Avenue South. Motor vehicle incident on Channel 6. Engine 30. Rainier Avenue South and Letitia Avenue South. Okay.
5-3, copy. 60 units, are you there?
Tom 6's 672.
6-3. We've been requested to go up and assist with the movement of some vehicles. 14th and Pine. That's
Your opinions are important. Our opinion is just as important. So you have to have that mindset that you can speak to people. And
your
also,
location, 14th and Pine.
and
Tom 5 will be going as well. I'll see all of you up there. I know you guys are coming from the north. And this is being handled on Zone 3, TAC 9. So go ahead and switch over to Zone 3, TAC 9, 14 and Pine.
But your community that you're targeting, I'm targeting today. And before even living here, I'm originally from Indianapolis. Indianapolis, Indiana. Indiana is a place where the Ku Klux Klan and Clarksville started. We're the most southern wolf you could ever be. I've experienced racism before I was in the womb and thought about it. So I can understand how you feel having people that don't belong in this neighborhood come in. But the way that you started it, you were becoming a target medicine. You see how your words can affect people's emotions? So you have to come on here and be respectful to everybody. It doesn't matter about me being a black life and the whatever the hell that you're talking about, because at the end of the day, most of us aren't even in that neighborhood or that area that you're talking about, because we still live below the poverty line in Seattle. So I'm just saying, as long as we're being respectful and it's not coming off as attacking anybody, I don't know who is the other person. That's fine. Go ahead.
So Jessica Parent and Holly Park were the first integrated public housing systems in the country. Publicly created. They were one of the and they were destroyed recently. Like Holly Park was destroyed in the late 90s, and Dexter Terrace was destroyed just about 10 years ago. So it's in the process of being destroyed. These were homes where black people raised me. That's why I'm out here, and that's the thing I keep trying to bring to the conversation as a white face, knowing, growing up, being raised by black women who took care of me with my white, mentally disabled mom, I have seen them being persecuted by a system that has let me slide through with all of my many issues. And I know how much I've struggled to just barely survive. And how much more fucking difficult it is for anybody with a slightly darker shade of skin than me. The medical racism she talks about with starting the womb, it happens to poor black women especially. I was raised on Medicaid, and guess what? They don't worry too much about those ladies on Medicaid when they're dealing with the crashes. So I understand all the anger coming from the community, because that's the community that I come from, that raised me. And I am choosing to make myself a target of the SPD who has been lying about this community that I was raised in all my life. And I'm sick of it. And I want to organize my neighbors in my community, in Capitol Hill, where I have lived now since about 2001. I lived a year, Green Lake one for me, and came right back home. So let's listen to this man and actually force the brain break.
Who was here yesterday at 3 p.m.? Okay? Beautiful building. 3 or 4 right in this neighborhood. Building. They call it low-income housing. And they're virtually empty. When do people get into it? When do they get into it? 3 or 4 right around here. What is low-income housing? Low-income housing. Well, when do people get into it? Most of them are virtually empty. Playing into it. Why?
We'll see you yesterday at 3 p.m. Make some noise. Why did y'all come out here at 3 p.m.? What's the reason why you all out here at 3 p.m.? For people to say, right? Who's done any sort of decentralized, organizing decision making? Can I get a raise of hand? Okay, cool. We're going to break off into groups. We're going to talk and discuss where this movement needs to go, how we can protect this place, and we agitate next. The decisions that we need to make together collectively. As I was saying earlier, between private co-op, we're not going to find political leaders here. Okay? This needs to be decentralized and instinctive, slightly organized. Let's list off some of the things that we need to discuss right now. What's something that we want to discuss with the group? Okay. A reason to get online and discuss things online. That's cool. We can point to hashtag. There's 3 things that come to my mind right now. Where we need to advocate next needs to be a group thinking about getting into this group, and those folks can line up on time. Let's start right here. This is right here, in this intersection. And sir, right here, if you can raise your hand and stand on that side, on that intersection right there. Thank you. Raise your hand. If anyone wants to talk about, okay, go ahead. Okay, let's talk about organizing. So let's talk about ways we can organize our next tactics and what we need to do right now. It's going to be on this side, on the opposite side, on this tents. We're going to get together and talk about just the vibe. All of this has been a vibe. We're all out here because we are instinctively feeling something. Just talk about the vibes up here. Let's do a vibe check on that side by each tents. Okay? There's some fishy shit going on. Right? And then folks that want to talk about long-term organizing, like how we can long-term keep this place where we want it to be, and not just give it back. Those folks are going to be over here. These blue bandana folks, you guys can raise their hand. Yeah? Red shirt, yellow bandana, can you raise your hand, buddy? Over there. So we have tactics on how we're going to organize and agitate next, over here. A vibe check over there, and on this side we're going to discuss what do we do long term to keep this place safe and vibrant. Okay? What we're going to do is we're going to have roles that people facilitate the each one. And if the group gets too big in one,
Ever since February 28th, when our city became the epicenter for COVID and the fight against COVID. I again want us all to remember that the spark that started the national dialogue we are having today on policing, on systemic racism, and how to build true equity was because of the murder of George Floyd. Mr. Floyd was put to rest yesterday, and his family and loved ones spoke so eloquently about the need to stop our national pain. Our own city has experienced great pain, much of it because for generations we have failed to address the systemic barriers and racism that has affected so deeply the lives of generations of African Americans. I also want to address the protests on Capitol Hill. But first, Seattle. We are a passionate city. We demand justice. We are at the forefront of change, and I will not allow anyone to distract our city from the work that has to be done and will be done. Seattle is demanding a justice system that is actually just,
and we know that we will require deep, deep work with community and within our systems of policing, as well as every other governmental institution. We are a city that demands strong accountability for our police department and for all police across America. We must continue to reimagine and rethink policing and how we direct our taxpayer dollars and how we allocate funds for law enforcement and for other community-based programs like education, health care, and access to opportunity. I've been working on criminal justice reform and police reform for decades. We've made a lot of progress, but there is still so far to go. We know that we need strong state oversight in investigations into police involved in killings, which I'm very pleased that Governor Inslee has promised to take up. We know at the state level we need a fundamental shift in our regressive tax system, which leaves the poorest and the hardest hit communities suffering the most and shouldering the greatest financial burdens. We also need a United States Department of Justice that restores the Civil Rights Division to its critical role in America. I want to talk about what I've been doing in the last 2 weeks and what I plan to continue to do. I will continue to meet with community to listen. My focus as mayor will remain on how we work to make Seattle a model for addressing the inequities that the pandemic and these last 2 weeks have made impossible to deny. Cal Anderson Park and Capitol Hill have been for decades a place for free speech and community. I've been going to Capitol Hill for almost 50 years and have demonstrated, hung out, and been with community many, many times. I just want to say, I know there's the acronym that is now the Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone. I got news for people. It's been autonomous my whole lifetime. And anybody who knows and loves Capitol Hill knows that to be true. I want to make clear that for myself and for the city and for Chief Best, the First Amendment rights of residents must be protected and protesters must feel safe when they express their First Amendment rights. Over the past few days, we've had peaceful demonstrations across the city. We had an amazing demonstration in Rainier Beach and Othello, where thousands turned out. We expect additional marches and a strike tomorrow led by Black Lives Matter. Chief Best, Chief Scoggins, the Seattle Department of Transportation Director, our Director of Office of Economic Development, and the Director of Seattle Public Utilities have been on site on Capitol Hill since 6 a.m. Tuesday morning, making sure the community is safe, talking to protesters, talking to residents, and coming up with a plan for Capitol Hill going forward. Clearly, unfortunately, our president wants to tell a story about domestic terrorists who have a radical agenda and are promoting a conspiracy and fits his law and order initiatives. It's simply not true. Lawfully gathering and expressing First Amendment rights, demanding we do better as a society, and providing true equity for communities of color is not terrorism. It is patriotism. The right to challenge authority and government is fundamental to who we are as Americans. We do not need anyone, including the president, to try to sow further divide, further distrust, and misinformation. The threat to invade Seattle, to divide and incite violence in our city, is not only unwelcome, it would be illegal. And for the thousands of individuals who've been on Capitol Hill, many of them, what you'll see is a painting of Black Lives Matter along Pine Street, food trucks, spaghetti potlucks, teach-ins, movies, free granola bars. We've seen a lot of passion, and I know some of that passion is asking me, Chief Best, and the city to do better, to do differently. We've heard those calls, and we will continue to listen. We're also working with businesses and residents on Capitol Hill to see what they need. Chief Scoggins and my office have been meeting with organizers and trying to ensure we get ingress and egress, the delivery of city services, and are in constant communication. The chief went today to the precinct to assess its condition. We will continue to manage the needs of our businesses and of the approximate 500 residents who live, play, and demonstrate at Cal Anderson Park. And while I frankly hate to give him airtime, I do want to address President Trump's statements about Seattle. One of the things this president will never understand is that listening to community is not a weakness. It is a strength. A real leader would see nationwide protests, the grief in so many communities of color, particularly our black communities, and the call to be an anti-racist society is an opportunity for America, an opportunity to build a better nation. I also want to be clear. As I stated previously, it is unconstitutional and illegal to send military to Seattle. If you don't believe me, you can take the word of a line of highly decorated generals who have said so and have rebuked him. I have spoken with Governor Inslee, and together we will assure the people this will not be happening. Many people actually are afraid that it would happen because the President of the United States said it. We would like to be able to trust what the President of the United States says, but I want people to know there is no imminent threat of an invasion in Seattle. But just as we did at the beginning of this pandemic, and as we have done many times before, we will not wait for a change in Washington for Seattle to act. I know we have a lot of work to do. Trust has been broken and it must be rebuilt. People's voices have been drowned out during this time. And for several hundred years, we have allowed a system to build and promote racism to continue to benefit us. That will take years to dismantle, but we must start immediately. And I believe the rest of Seattle is ready to get to work. I also want to get back to why we cannot lose sight of the conversation our community needs to be having. We can't lose this moment. From Black Lives Matter to the organizers on Capitol Hill to others, people are demanding change and we need to listen. Change at the city, including SPD, City Council, City Attorney, and me. Change on policing, education, healthcare, and criminal justice system. Change at the county, change at public health, change at the state. We are seeing movement in ways we have not seen in decades, and that's a good thing. This change has to be centered on the voices of community and what people need. We must empower community. I remain committed to listening and to working with community, including the organizers on Capitol Hill, to reimagine how we do things as a city. How do we reinvest in community to address public health needs, education, and true economic justice? This will continue to build off some of the work we have done, from free child care to 2 years free college for every public high school student, to jobs for our youth, to reforms in the criminal justice system. We will continue to build those programs and to make Seattle a more just and equitable place. And we will also continue to fund intervention programs so that more mental health professionals are on tap to reply to when people need them. I've said it so many times over my career, when people call 911, we need to send them the help they need. That is not always a police officer, and many times isn't. We have to reimagine our response to community and what they need in times of crisis. Our efforts going forward include investments in reimagining what we need to do with those investments and providing alternatives to incarceration and arrests. This year, we will invest $100 million in new community-based programs that serve the Black community as well as the Indigenous and communities of color. Over the last week, and including this afternoon, my office and I have prioritized having conversations with community leaders and residents about the changes they want to see in the city and about how they bring them about. Some of these conversations are very difficult and painful, but that kind of conversation has to happen in order for us to move forward. In many ways, the test is the more uncomfortable it is for me as mayor, probably the more important it is for it to happen. We're working on a range of proposals on what we've heard from community to dismantle systemic racism, but it can't come from the top down with us dictating what community needs. We have to listen, but we also have to act. Chief Best will address you now. Before I want to turn this over to her, I want to thank her for all of her work over the last few weeks. I know she and her department leaders and her officers have been working so hard, and they've worked to adjust and improve every day. And ultimately, I know that they are guided by doing all they can for the businesses and residents of Seattle. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. And I'll start where you left off and just say that the men and women of the department have been working really hard, tirelessly for several days while we go through, trying to manage demonstrations. And they've done incredible work trying to make sure that we address the needs of the community. This morning, as you know, I and several of my command staff entered the East Precinct just to see what the conditions were there. We have been operating from a position of trust and de-escalation. The demonstrators made it clear the conflict was the fencing preventing them from marching. So we moved it. I want to allow peaceful demonstrations and resolve every situation with full awareness that sometimes there are clear threats to the facilities. You know, a precinct burned in Minneapolis, a headquarters was ransacked in Portland, arson and looting in downtown Seattle, bulletins from the FBI, and chants at the East Precinct of burn it down. We took down the barricades anyway because we really wanted to establish trust. Instead of marching, the protesters, after complaining about police barricades, established their own barricades. So the streets that we wanted to be clear, now they're no longer clear. SPD has the responsibility to provide public safety services to the entire East Precinct and to the city. The actions of a small group cannot and should not deprive an entire segment of our community from public safety services. In the first day of the SPD not having access to the precinct, response times for crimes in progress were over 15 minutes, about 3 times as long as the average of every year. If that is your mother, your sister, your cousin, your neighbor's kid that is being raped, robbed, assaulted, and otherwise victimized, you're not going to want to have to report that it took the police 3 times longer to get there to provide services to them. The difference in that amount of time could prevent someone's life and prevent a violent attack. It was never an option to have residents of the precinct, many of whom are members of our most marginalized communities, by the way, waiting for extra long length of time for an officer to arrive to a violent crime in progress. The Seattle Police Department stands open and ready to engage in dialogue and action about how we can address, that is, inequalities and racism in the criminal justice system. We all know that over history, when people have cried out for justice, when they've been black, when they've been Latino, when they've been LGBTQ or Asian, the police department and the police officers were often on the wrong side of the law, on the wrong side of good, and often perpetuating the status quo. We have to acknowledge that history, a long history of abuses. You know, I, for one, am specifically in tune with some of those issues. That doesn't mean we can't continue to evolve and change and do better. And we're committed to doing that. And I call on all of my colleagues as well across the criminal justice system, prosecutors, judges, and other elected officials, service providers, and behavioral health providers to join us with community in these conversations. It is especially important that the entire community is a part of the conversation. Everyone shows and everyone has come out and they've been particularly concerned about, you know, what the death and the murder of George Floyd represents. What it represents is a history of black men dying at the hands of law enforcement in unprovoked or sometimes deemed as unprovoked ways. We have to acknowledge that. But that doesn't mean we throw the baby out with the bathwater. That doesn't mean that law enforcement isn't an important part in the fabric of society. It doesn't mean that we can't do better. And it doesn't mean that many of the men and women right here in Seattle, right here on your police department, want to do better. and want to have that opportunity. I've served here for 28 years. I love Seattle. I love the department. I love our community. My daughter, my son-in-law, and my nephew were at those protests, have been at the demonstrations, both good and bad, endings, that is, and they participate. So I care. My family cares. These things are important to us. So we want to make sure that we get it right. We'll have to take some deep examination of what brought us to the events of the past 2 weeks. It is time now to purposefully heal, to have reconciliation, and to move forward together. We must do this for George Floyd and all the many other people who have suffered at the hands of police. And we also must do it for everyone who has suffered at the hands of injustice. And we must make sure that all of our officers are on board with moving forward. And I believe that the men and women who work for the Seattle Police Department really are engaged and want it to be better and want this to be a better society. So on that note, I guess it's open for questions, and you'll take care of that?
Yes, so thank you, Mayor, thank you, Chief. The way we will balance this is we will have 2 questions in the room, and then we will take 1 from the WebEx portal. So I open it up to the room, I open it up to the Mayor and the Chief to acknowledge questions in the room.
Chris.
So, Chief, you stood here on Friday and you said it was going to be your decision and your decision alone to use tear gas. Tear gas was deployed on Sunday.
Yep.
You released a video today to say that it was not your decision to close the East Precinct. So who is making tactical decisions right now for the Seattle Police Department?
So a couple of things, Chris. Those are 2 very different incidents. So for the tear gas, it was my decision. I think I prefaced that, and I made it very clear that we did not want to use any of the pepper spray, flashbangs, blast balls, or tear gas, and we suspended the use for 30 days unless there was a life safety situation. And that was the exemption. I was keeping abreast of what was happening in the precinct. They had a shooting earlier in the day. At some point, it got unruly. There was a man with a gun in the crowd. The officers felt like it was a life safety situation based on what was occurring, and I concurred. And I own that decision. I made that decision, and I will own any decision that I think is in the best interest of everyone's public safety. There's a lot of discussion about what less lethal, what we call munitions, will be used and how they will be used in the future, and I hope that I have the opportunity to engage in those conversations, but I totally own that decision. In regards to the precinct, we were looking at, we had opened up the roads. We had decided to put some safety measures around the precinct to protect it. We were asked to do an operational plan in case we needed to leave. We got an update that there was the potential for fire. Of course, if the precinct goes down in fire, the whole block could potentially be, burn up. As they were moving things out, the decision was made as officers were taking things out of the precinct, they didn't want to come back into the precinct, and many of them did not. So we're still going to evaluate exactly the pinpoint of why that changed, but it didn't come from me. So, and we'll review all of it.
So command staff made that decision to close the precinct?
We're looking into all of it, Chris, to see where it came from.
I mean,
Wait a minute. We got so many people to get through, Chris. We'll come back to you.
Okay.
Madam.
David, then 2 on the phone, then we'll come back to you, Matt.
Well, I want to ask about the Capitol Hill zone. What's the plan? How long are you going to let it stay there? Are you going to stay there indefinitely? People are wanting to turn the East Precinct into a community center. Is that on the table? What's going to happen?
So the Capitol Hill area is, in fact, some of my family's up there right now. I think it has been described by the president and others as what it is not. It is not a armed Antifa militia no-go zone. It is a number of people are there. We've had ongoing communications with them, with the business, with the residents, and we will make sure that we find some way for people to continue to protest peacefully while also getting ingress and egress. We've had blocks of Seattle and Capitol Hill shut down every summer for everything from block party to Pride. This is really not that much of an operational challenge, but we want to make sure that the businesses and residents feel safe, and we'll continue to move that forward.
Is PD going to try and move back into East Precinct?
We've talked about SPD moving in. They did the assessment today, and there's going to be an ongoing assessment about when it would be safe and appropriate for them to move in there, including response times and the like. We don't want to introduce additional flashpoints. The chief made it very clear when we had discussions last week that it was clear that those barriers were the flashpoint and needed to be removed. And we want to make sure that moving forward, SPD is in the planning for Capitol Hill.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, David. Thank you, Mayor. Our first question will come from Anna Scott, Cairo Radio. Anna, the floor is yours. Anna, the floor is yours.
Oh, sorry, there we go.
Whenever you're ready.
All right, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. For Chief Bass, can you speak to any legitimate reports where there's been evidence found of people with arms extorting businesses or residents in what's now known as the Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone? And for the mayor, wondering if you've met with the protesters up there.
I have not met with the protesters that are on Capitol Hill right now. I'll let the chief address the reports. My understanding is that there have been some occasions of some property damage, vandalism, a fight, but there's not been any serious incidents that have been documented. But I'll let her confirm that.
Sure. Hi, Hannah. We had heard through folks anecdotally that these things were occurring. Chief Nolet, who's also here today, gave a press conference and asked if anybody actually experienced that and reported it, then we would make sure that we taken a report. We haven't had any formal reports of this occurring, other than people have mentioned it through news media, social media posts, but no one's come forward for a police report. So if that does happen, we are encouraging people, if they've experienced that, to please notify us and we can follow up on it. But that has not happened affirmatively.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Mayor. Our next question will come from Brandy Cruz, Q13. Brandy, the floor is yours.
Yeah, this is for the mayor, but the chief is free to weigh in. You know, the chief sent a video to her officers today that was quickly leaked to the public. She made it clear she was not happy with the decision made to, for all intents and purposes, abandon the precinct. And Mayor, you're the only person who can make that decision if she's not the one who made it. And she said that it was clear the city, quote, relented to severe public pressure. So, Mayor, can you comment on the fact that the chief made it clear to officers today that she did not agree with this decision, and did you relent to public pressure?
So take it in steps. Once the decision to remove the barriers was made, there was still the operational threat or potential threat to the precinct itself, which included intelligence that there might be a threat of fire. There was an assessment made together with Chief Scoggins and the command staff as to what the impacts would be, not just on the precinct, but on the wood frame buildings around that had as many as 500 residents. It was determined that if that was the threat, that maintaining people inside the building would be dangerous, and they executed an operational plan to remove anything that was of value, files, equipment, ammunition, weapons, and the like. And that was an iterative decision made during the day, resulting from the fluid events of the time once it was determined that the barriers were going to be removed. So that was a decision made in concert with command staff and others on the ground. And as the chief said, we'll be looking at that. I think it was the right decision. I think it is clear that removing the barriers was critical to removing the flashpoint. And if there were the safety concerns for people in the building or the equipment, but that is not the equivalent of abandoning the station. At this point, again, the chief went in this morning to assess the status of it. We want to make sure that we are not creating the same situation we had 4 days ago, which we successfully have removed from removing that point of conflict between protesters and the police department.
Matt?
Basically, you just said that you're not abandoning the station, but it sounds like it was abandoned because everybody left in a hurry. My question is, given what the chief just basically laid out a case for returning officers to the station with the delayed in response calls, why not? What's the threshold? What's the threshold for those officers to return back to that precinct so that those response call times will go down?
That's going to be discussion with the chief. She's the chief of police, and she wants to return operations. But we also have to make sure that we don't recreate the entire cycle that we just were able to disrupt. By removing the barriers, we disrupted that unfortunate cycle that we saw over a period of 3 days. And we have to move forward in the same way. So the chief, together with residents, neighborhood community, and a number of city departments, are looking at how we address a whole range of things on Capitol Hill.
Where's the end game then? When are those officers going to come back?
So there's not a specific date, Matt, because we're trying to do things in a way that is responsible and that addresses the real life situation on the ground. And as everyone has seen over this last week, that when police do their jobs, it is often, it is never a static situation. And so the chief of police, working together with the rest of the departments, is going to come up with an operational plan that we can make sure that we move forward appropriately.
Last question.
And what is the biggest change that you're looking at right now, Mayor? As far as people say there have been small changes made as far as how to respond to protests, things like that, but people really want to hear what is the systematic change that the city is working on right now to make a meaningful impact.
Such a great question, because I think that's got to be the focus of what we continue to talk about. And the unfortunate thing I think about, the president tweets and others, is it's distracting us from what we really need to be working on. And listening to community, I think there's a range of things that we need to do. I want to really center the voice of community, but we have underfunded all of the systems that community needs to thrive and be healthy. And that starts with good access to health care and prenatal care. It means that our free pre-K is joined with other programs so that families are holistic. It means K through 12, that we not only close the opportunity gap, but we really look where are those health system connections we can have with students, particularly those who might be students who are getting into trouble, to make school a pipeline to opportunity and not to incarceration. And so we'll continue with programs like our free college, but we want to connect that up with jobs for everybody. We want to make sure that we are really investing in all of those things in our society that have held people back because they have not been fair.
The protesters have said that they are not going to move on unless SPD's budget is cut by 50%. I know you're working on that right now. Is there any way that your budget supports that? And given the fact that 82% of the budget comes from personnel and overtime costs alone, is that call even possible?
Sorry, I'm having trouble hearing you. Look, I've made it very clear that I think our approach has to be to reimagining the services in community, and I do not think it is responsible to suggest that we will cut 50% of our officers. We need to make sure that we change the focus on, so when people call 911, they don't necessarily have a police officer show up. And police officers are required now to do jobs that they shouldn't have to be doing. We had over 17,000 crisis calls last year. We need a system that if someone's in crisis, the first response is from crisis intervention team, a healthcare team, a mental health team. We need to make sure that if there's a conflict in family that is between a young person and their parent or their grandparent, it isn't always police that show up. It can be someone who knows that family and can diffuse and de-escalate that so that we have fewer kids going into incarceration. And I will tell you that we have put more and more work on police officers that we really need to have in other places, so the police officers can have their energies to respond to those things that truly are a great public safety threat, and that's when you need a cop to show up. But we've got to change a range of systems, and we've got to imagine it somewhere other than a police department.
And just to clarify, you said it's not responsible to cut 50% of police officers, but they're saying to cut 50% of the budget.
You can't cut the budget without cutting the police officers, because that's what the budget represents.
Do you still have faith in the Chief Best? Do you still have faith in the mayor?
Yes, I have faith in the mayor. He's standing here Right next to her, giving the briefing. Yeah.
I have confidence in the chief. We've been asked in other forums, are you going to resign? Is the chief going to resign? The answer is no and no. We thought about a Thelma and Louise moment, but that's not happening either. We are here. We got work to do, and we're going to get it done. These are not easy days, but neither of us signed up for easy jobs. And we are ready to tackle the challenges, listen to community, and move forward together.
Thank you, Chief. That concludes today's press conference. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
All right, everybody, we're going to start gathering back together again in just a moment and start discussing what we talked about. Before we do, you guys, I want to let you know I had a short conversation with the fire chief. Wait till everybody gathers around and discuss what we talked about.
I mean, look at this, dude. The other day we got these brothers from Arizona. I won't say it was protesters. It's here now. But not really.
All right, everybody, we're going to let them finish time what they're talking about. But as I mentioned before, I just had a short conversation with the fire chief. Now, we were supposed to have a meeting with the fire chief and the police chief today. The fire chief was caught off guard just as I was when we saw this building being stormed out of the same police force that we ran out a few days ago. But as I mentioned, this isn't over. This is not over. They didn't take anything back. We already claimed this building. We're not taking these signs down. We're not washing this graffiti off. What I told the fire chief is, he asked me, what can we do to support these businesses? I told him I would love to support these businesses. I would love to have these people out the streets. Give us somewhere to gather inside. I told him I would love to sit down and have a conversation with the police chief, have a dialogue, have a negotiation about what time they can come and pick up their shit. I'm gonna let you say it on the mic.
Maybe invite her to dinner at her own house.
We need the mayor down here. Where are you, Mayor Durkin? Where is the transparency from our own mayor? Is this the kind of leadership we voted into office knowingly? Did we know our leadership would turn invisible when we need them most? Did we know our leadership would be committing war crimes against their own citizens? Let me ask you guys this question. Should they be held accountable? Yes! I'm asking you again, should they be held accountable? Yes! Thank you
for standing with me, each and every one of you, from the bottom of my heart. You guys inspire me. You guys are heroes. You are not terrorists. You are patriots. And remember that. In the spirit of America, in the spirit of the Boston Tea Party, you are patriots. Remember that.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I know that. Let's just have a little decentralized feedback of what we saw. We've got some sign here in the front. If someone needs sign. First and foremost, so all the media, we were talking about this earlier, the rookie media who doesn't realize that they need to put their cameras down off of people's faces. You want to film the back of people's heads. Just a little quick tidbit. We can record audio. So what we gotta say right now is, let's get some feedback from all the different groups. If everyone can just sit down, and then the person speaking can stand, we're gonna pass the microphone around to the people that were taking notes, the people that want to give some feedback. But the first thing I want to say is, just for like the next foreseeable future, 3 p.m. every day, 3 p.m. every day, we're gonna be working this day. Vibe checks, tactical training, and having just a beautiful moment to the place so you can have fun. And get back to the beginning. Let's go for like a good 15-20 minutes. So the first group I feel like that should definitely be speaking right now is the vibe checks. Anyone from vibe check that wants to like talk about what y'all discussed? Thank you. Let's go for like a good 2 minutes.
I am trying to organize a more centralized way for us to have access to like how people can be part of different committees here, like security, sanitation, all of that. If you add me on Instagram, people are working right now to make that website. That website, there's a website that's live right now.
Had some major PTSD from being here in the past 10 days and getting tear gassed and being here when there was a shooter. And part of me wonders if like this movement has
We're not tired. I personally have had to check in because I've had some major PTSD from being here in the past 10 days and getting tear gassed and being here when there was a shooter. And part of me wonders if like this movement has the collective energy to deal with anything.
Came up to the intersection, it was blocked off with cones. I went to the turn lane, put my hazard on, removed the cones, drove through, put the cones right back, and then, you know, went and parked. This is approximately 2 hours before the shooting happened. So, fast forward. We're talking about the Cairo 7, like I said. When he drives down that road, those cones are removed. He's driving through a sea of people, which, like I say, I'm on the table. I saw that live. He drives, accelerates through a sea of people, comes all the way to a barrier till he can't proceed anymore. Then the man grabs him and brings him out, and he shoots. The narrative that Cairo 7 shots, their piece was that it proves that this man was in fear for his life because there were men chasing him while he was making that turn, and then they zoom in on his right headlight.
Up when we get tired. I heard one, the most impactful organizer that I've heard rally a crowd, he had this to say. Okay. He said, when George Floyd, when he was being murdered, there were a bunch of people there with a bunch of cameras and different angles filming it, but not one person had the courage to stand up and stop what was happening. And he said, as a black man, I don't want to ever see that again. I don't ever want to see a black man being murdered from a bunch of different angles. I want to see people standing up and stopping it. So, his cry was, and also in that moment when I met him, his voice was super hoarse. He had been yelling and rallying a crowd for a long time, and he was tired. He was having trouble because as soon as he got quiet, the crowd also got quiet, and the energy was just kind of like a little low. But the point is, when I get tired, what do? You stand up. When you see injustice happening before your eyes, what do? You stand up. When I get tired, what do? You stand up. So that's just like he was so powerful that it keeps going in my head all the time. And my message personally is also like every single individual needs to take care of their mental, their physical, and their spiritual well-being. And do not think that the weight of this movement lies on your shoulders. You have to rest. You have to make sure that you're not operating strictly out of fear and like stress and paranoia, because that will twist you. You'll start snapping at people and just being an angry person, which has happened to me. You have to recharge and rest, but you have to like make sure that the people around you know that this is a beautiful thing that's happening, that we need help, we need resources, we need collaboration, but also do not burn yourself out, because we need everyone like clear, good. That's all I have to say. Oh, so the Instagram, where I will be posting up a meme of what this website is, and then eventually this Instagram will completely disappear because it started off as my personal Instagram, which is completely inappropriate for like what I'm doing right now. But it is Sarah, S-A-R-A-H, Tornay, T-O-R-N-A-I. Again, it's just a way for me to keep you in the loop about this website and email list that's happening, and like any non-super sensitive information that I might have in order to help like pull us together. Okay. Sarah, S-A-R-A-H, Tornay, T-O-R-N-A-I.
Someone has pulled the battery carrier from the second line. If anyone has seen a lone black tube that has slots for 2 batteries.
Can you talk to me after though? I want to listen to like what people are saying. I'm so sorry.
I feel like we should hear from someone else in the vibe check corner. Anyone else want to speak up that was missing that conversation?
Read Capitol Hill.
Didn't that get cleared by DOT?
All right, cool. Pass this mic to Purple.
Purple, where you at?
Thank you. My name is Tay. There's a flag was put us. Who has that yellow flag?
I have it.
Us? So my dear friend Mike brought this. This was flying over Seattle during the WTO, and it has been. Thank you. It has been brought to us to fly over this camp as the continuation of that movement, and I just thought really to everybody. Talk of do we need to have a governing body and organize and negotiate demands, and I just wanted to say, look, we already have demands. Our first demand, we all know this, is defunding these motherfuckers. Invested in black and brown communities. Specifically black communities. And third of all, free the frickin' protesters. But we need to stay focused on what our black leadership has asked of us and prioritize their voices. Thank you.
With that being said, I want you guys to know I appreciate each and every one of you guys for being out here. It truly means something. And with us being out here every day, we are truly making a change. So don't forget that. Don't forget that. Whose lives matter? Black lives matter! Whose lives matter? Black lives matter! Keep it going, y'all. You guys look real good.
Anybody else out here tapping on the vibe check? Anyone else want to speak up from that group? Anyone else
Smell your Tesla!
Anyone else outside of that group say that was in tactical planning that want to speak on a vibe check? Actually, if you want to talk on tactics, we'll do that last. Anyone from the group that wants to talk about the planning of what this space is going to look like and how do we protect it?
Thank you. So some of the notes that we
touched on earlier was, I think even before we started the group, was to stack. And that means that everybody will get a turn to talk. So someone will go around and say, oh, you want to go next? Write your name down and you can go next. So I think that's one of the nice things. We touched on local deliveries. That's a concern here. There is COVID-19 mutual aid who's willing to help deliver food and medicine here. So yeah, that's beautiful. I don't think they're going to do Amazon delivery or anything like that. I don't think we want that here anyway. We did talk about maybe protesting at Shama Suwat's home or the mayor's home to talk peacefully to talk about the demands that we want, such as defunding the police and the other policies. Wow, you guys, this is nerve-wracking being up here in front of all of you. But, thank you. Thank you. We're all people. I'm sure everybody says that this important. So one thing that just kept coming up over and over and over again is more structure. Everybody wants more structure, goals, and accountability. I think that's pretty fair. We want long-term goals, that was the group I was in. And I think that one of the best things we're doing is here today, talking with other people and discussing solutions. Because that's what this is really about, and that's where we're gonna find out what works the best and what other possibilities there are. So we're doing that, and I think we're doing things, guys. I love you all. I'm so happy that we're doing this together. So we want leaders in buildings. Like, you got an apartment building, maybe somebody there can be a leader. So you talk with the people that live with you, and then like you can get a feel for what that group of people wants and communicate it to the next group of leaders. We're all leaders here, so take that position and talk to people and see what they want and talk about what we can do. And I think a lot of people are doing a great job just taking steps on their own, you know, trying to figure out how to walk here and what works and what doesn't. So congratulations on all of that. We want to get notes out to people, notes like points that we're talking about that are important, and put flyers around the city so that more people can understand what's going on here. Somebody mentioned a gun-free zone. I don't know about that. We all need to stay safe. I know that's true. Oh, and we want groups that have been talking about Black Lives Matter for years to get in this conversation. There's a lot of people that have been doing this for years because this has been going on for years, and now we're here talking about it. So I would love to see more people that that say, you know, I've been doing this for years, and get up here and talk. So I don't know what we can do to get other community members like far away involved in this. They're also doing their own thing. We're all doing our own thing. We're all doing good. So I just have one last little thing, a little poem for everybody. I know you guys will love it. Hi, I'm here because Black Lives Matter. George Floyd is proof of how Black lives are shattered. I'm sad. Growing up, I've always wondered why people were bad. Killing, raping, stealing nearly everything, babies, harming babies. Why would anybody do that? I'm mad, and I'll fight back against every wrongful attack. To all my people, everybody, I have your back. Let's stand together and trust these facts. Love is the ultimate weapon and medicine. Now we must come together in unison to create bright days for all of us, friends. But wait a second, Breonna Taylor still hurts to think about. I hope you know how she wants her clout. If it brings us together, she would be proud. Let's not forget our Black brothers and sisters here today and what they have to say. I heard Reparee, Green New Deal. How about a Black New Deal? Black Lives Matter. How about a Green New Deal that's real, that we all feel? I'm sorry, a Green New Black Deal that we feel that's real, that we all feel. It's what we need to do, because it can be so good. It can be so good, but it's been so bad. Seriously, it's been so bad, this world. The bad stuff hurts, but it's what we do with it that works. It's gonna work now because I'm not looking down, I'm proud. And you should be too, because we're here out here trying to stay true. Now ICE, what the fuck is that? Families in cages? Anybody mad? I want less weapons, less military, no family apart, no families apart. Right now, we're here, and this is a start. So, make some new friends and talk with your heart. If we want to stay together, let's not be apart. Here's a thought. I have more food than I needed to bought. Don't get sidetracked for my improper grammar. I'm almost done. Please be loving, guys. We're all people here. I'm almost done. This is about love. Don't get sidetracked for my improper grammar. Together, too many people are locked up in the slammer. Invest in community. Let us live beautifully. Wait, let's just live beautifully. Thank you, family. I love you guys. Let's all be loving and kind to each other because, you know, I'm coming here to be people, man. We're all people.
And you had bars, but right now we're trying to talk about the long-term plan. Anyone else from that long-term planning group want to speak up with long-term plans? Before we get started, we actually have an announcement. There's been a lot of rumors, so we've got someone here that did a lot of diligence to clear up some bullshit. Thank you.
Okay, hi guys. First of all, everybody give themselves a pat on the back for being a participant in this today. This is incredible, and literally, the world is watching, and the way I know that is because there are a couple of undercover CNN reporters among us here. I wouldn't be surprised if they're the only ones. Specifically, I want to address Carmen Best's press conference today, in which she explained to the citizens of Seattle and the world that we are checking IDs at our checkpoints. So I'd like to see a show of hands for anyone who had their ID checked today. And hopefully you guys getting this. It's fucking bullshit that our chief of police continues to lie on us. And they're endorsing those lies. That is fucking problematic, and we are done with it. Now the second lie that I would like to uncover today is that protesters have been going to small businesses in the CHAZ, that's the Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone, and extorting them for security at their front doors. They've also said that people are calling them, requiring them that they pay for security, that they are charging people to come into their businesses. I walked around to Willow, what was it? Where'd she go? 10 businesses. I'm gonna read them all off to you. Bagel Tana, no. Little Big Burger, no. B Cuts, no. The liquor store across the street, nobody's gone there either. Danbo, no. Minot, no. Bytong, no. Cupcake Royale, no. Petty Rosso, no. And Baka Bak, no. And furthermore, every single business said protesters have been wildly respectful, wildly supportive. And something that was pointed out to me today is that the anger that I feel in this moment is that our mayor and chief of police continue to lie on us. And what I want everyone, especially white people in this audience, to sit with is that is how our black and brown siblings exist every single day. So overall, keep doing this amazing work. It's gonna be hard, guys. It's gonna be brutal. And in the words of late, great Nipsey Hussle, the marathon continues.
Anybody else from that same group want to speak up on what they saw? Let's pass this, my brother behind.
Can I go?
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see that.
Sure thing. Hey, I live up there. I usually come during the protests. but I've been screaming from my roof. It's been a lot of fun. I came down here because I wanted to talk about sustainability from the sense of wider community, not just us on the ground here, but us up in the buildings there. There's a number of reasons why people up in our buildings can't join the protests, and I think one of the biggest risks is how do I put this? Pressure from the residents and like the physical buildings. Temperatures running high down here and up there, and I think one of the biggest risks is the people up in the buildings there, in addition to the lies that the media is spreading, right? So the media is saying that people are asking, people are being ID'd, that businesses are being charged like fees to be operating. I think, for me, one of my thoughts is that the biggest way towards sustainability is making sure that we're working together with the business community, with the residential community up and like in the physical buildings, the residential community down here, and the people that are working hard to keep this movement going. You guys have been here for like, what, 10, 13 days now. Everybody's tired. But like this person said over here, it's a marathon, right? Not a sprint. So the more that we burn ourselves out right here, right now, the more we run the risk of this not continuing and not reaching kind of the goals, the long-term goals that we want for the space, for defunding the police, for reallocating the budget. I've got a friend over there holding a residents affinity group. We want to make sure that we've got communication going between the residents here, the residents down there, the residents up there. So if anybody would like to speak, this big sign over there, residents affinity group. And we have some. Huh? All right, I'll just stop paying rent. Thank you. If anybody else from the sustainability team wants to talk, I know somebody was next. Please come up. Let's keep it going. Let's be respectful of each other down here, respectful of people up there, people up there, people there, respectful of what's going to get us to our long term. But keep the fight going, keep the pressure on the groups that need to be under pressure right now.
Cool. Thanks everybody for allowing me to speak.
Okay, wait a minute.
I was watching the news earlier today, and I think it's really important that they were speaking that all of this is, driven by Capitol Hill residents. But I disagree a little bit. I think majority of this group lived here or has had some strong connection to here for at least the past 5 to 15 years. Gentrification is super new. So I think this is bigger than this area. This is for Seattle. We need to work outward. And Jenny Durkin has the power for Seattle, not just Capitol Hill. On my first point in my group, we were kind of talking about organization and centralizing intelligence in a sense. I think that's very important. We need to go ahead and stay in control of the narratives. We need to go ahead and weed out, people being distracted by the wrong things. But ultimately, I think for this space, I think it's the strongest leverage point that we have right now. And there's no way that we can give this up without the demands that have already been established by the community leaders. There's no way that the police can have this done. If anything, we need to slow this down somewhere else and keep it going everywhere else. This it's a volcano. We're going to splash all over. We can get into voter suppression. We can get into working outward like that. But I think the ultimate goal for this spot, just staying on subject, there's no way the police is having this job. No fucking way. So, just wrapping it up, I like that everybody's on the same narrative that, there aren't ideas being checked, there aren't being businesses extorted, it's not being a fucking riot. It's peaceful and people are trying to figure this out. So, that's all I have.
for the people. I'm just speaking on our behalf and whatever, and I'm the one that's here right now, so let's go, you know. And even then, there are others that are around that are listening and giving their feedback, and everybody has a say in what happens.
Hi everyone. My name is Sonia. I live about a couple blocks that way. I'm new to all of this. I'm typically a pretty shy person. But one of the things that I really value is having a community to talk to and having a community that lets anybody talk, even if you're not necessarily the greatest person, even if you're not necessarily the loudest person. So I think one of the important things that I really want to see hopefully develop soon is some sort of online social media presence, some sort of online forum where, you know, people can't always come out here every day. They can't come out here 24/7, and also people can't always compete with each other for a solitary night. So I have created a subreddit. I've never done that before, but I have created a subreddit called Honestly Capitol. My idea, I've also created a website, so hopefully we can work together to kind of consolidate that. My goal is to kind of create some online presence for us. Also to help hopefully tell people what we are and control the narrative instead of having the police and the news control the narrative. So I am one person and I am not very good at a lot of things. So I would love for anybody who feels passionate about creating an online community, maintaining an online community, formulating the message about us as a community, polling people and figuring out what we want to say we are. For those of you that feel passionate about that, I desperately need your help. So I'm going to be here till like 5 or 6. Please come find me, and I would love to talk more with you guys. And that's all I want to say.
What are you doing here, dude? Wait, are you like... You guys, this guy's a right-wing fucking live streamer. Right-wing, talking about anti-abortion rights. He should not fucking be here. He also killed a 13-year-old autistic child in Washington. He should not fucking be here.
I'm just here filming just so people can see what's going on. I'm not here trying to cause any problems or anything.
It seems like there's an energy that you might want to maybe. We got some alt-right folks right here.
Hey, I'm actually here. Well, look, listen, talk to me for a minute. I'm actually here just filming. So where's the tolerance to allow it?
You're the one spouting anti-abortion shit on here. Where's the tolerance?
But I thought Black Lives Matter. What about preborn babies that are being thousands?
Babies? Now he's saying that complicated shit from abortion. Jake Eakin.
Jake Eakin from just.
Here, at least let me go through.
Anti-abortion.
Right here, yeah. Will you at least walk me out?
Only Black Lives Matter if they're fucking fetuses.
Come on, it's okay. We'll escort you out. It's very peaceful.
But I thought that everyone was welcome here.
Yeah, they are, but I mean, now they're gonna start problems.
I'm actually not starting problems. A lady recognized who I was, and I was silently going around just filming. There's
people that want to disband all that's going on here.
But isn't that good? But listen.
You are not welcome here with your ideology, so you need to.
But I thought everyone was welcome. Listen, at least let me.
So, does anybody are there any POCs in the chat that want to ask a question to the mayor? That's, I guess, what I would ask if you are a person of color, if you are black in particular, and have a question for the mayor. I am hopefully going to catch her as she's on her way out, and I can see if I can pass that along. So keep that in mind. Yeah. I got my buddy Day over here.
do something about it before he comes in and takes care of it himself. And let me break something down for you. What that does is Trump has drawn a line in the sand. Okay? There's no more middle good guy thing that Durkin and Inslee can do. Now it's, are you on Trump's side or are you on the people's side? That's what Trump did with those tweets, in my opinion. Okay? So now Durkin, now Inslee, they have a choice. You either meet the demands or you fall in line with fascism. That's just real, that's what it comes down to. Honestly, this is not me giving props to Trump, but he did us a favor. He did us a favor because he painted the sign, he painted the picture very clearly now. And Durkin has a decision. So she tried to come out today in her press conference and say, oh, fuck Trump, go back in your bunker, like we're good here. And that's why she's having an identity crisis. Because she's like, if she's saying fuck Trump, that means she has to side with the ugly activists or ugly anarchists, as Trump called us. But she can't do that because she can't meet the demands. So she's like, I support Chaz, but I don't support Chaz. So it's like she doesn't know what to do. And that's what Trump did. You know, Trump did that. Trump fucked up. And so right now, we got to push Durkin out. I mean, not necessarily resignation. Oh, getaway car is leaving.
Oh.
Did Durkin go in there? No. Getaway car is leaving.
All right. I know, right? Yeah, let's.
Is that definitely the getaway car?
We think so. The way she was positioned there leads me to think that.
Because there's only 4.
I mean, did she go to the front?
Maybe you could tell me, like, what brought you out here, and what is it that you're wanting to say? What brought you out here, and what do you want to say?
Durkin is deep.
Yeah, if you guys are watching Nikita's stream, let us know if you see the mayor walking out.
What brought you out here, bro?
Pretty pleased and thank you.
For me, I want to hear everybody's perspective. Like I said, this is my 15th day here. I think most people have been following my streams and everything else. It's all good.
Stop running. I want people to hear you too.
And get away with that shit. And so,
say that
I'm the guy that you might have seen that filmed the
So basically, Durkin tried to have a closed door meeting with the fake activist that may or may not be paying, and we found out about it. So we came here and made sure that all the black people whose voices aren't being heard, and Durkin keeps making policies with these people she's paying off or not paying off, allegedly. That shit's not gonna fly. That's not gonna happen. We could have. It was a tight space, and I think our priority is to make sure that all the black people in Seattle, in King County, especially the ones who are at higher risk, you know, centering those. Going through colorism, this and that, are going to be at the table.
Durkin's on the move.
I had an opportunity to talk to somebody who might have a different point of view. You know, I've included the police and the city have a different point of view than the protesters.
So Dave's going to run up ahead. I'm going to hang it down. Hang it back here.
What brought you here? Okay.
And I hope she doesn't come out my door. I don't know what to say.
Citizen, just to report what's going on, because I want to get past this media saying.
Right.
And I want to see for myself.
Yeah, Nikita's having some connectivity issues in there. I think it's kind of a bit of a dead zone. Again, not my place to be in that meeting, but I am sure as hell going to try to cover the outside and see if I get any footage of the mayor walking out.
I have no commentary.
Y'all, things getting interesting around here.
Okay.
And I agree with what Dave said completely about President Trump actually doing the activists here on the ground a big favor. Because now you kind of have to draw a line in the sand. You're either with the protesters or you're with Trump. And that's not a place that Seattle electeds
what is it about whatever people perceive that you represent that brought this reaction, though?
So now that the mayor's coming out against Trump, in support of the protesters,
I heard you say something there earlier. You were like, well, if people think that Black Lives Matter, how come they're not against
the demands
abortion?
of the folks
And
on
I
the
got hit
ground
with that
without
question
actually doing so. So it's going to be interesting to see how she gets herself out of this one. I heard a lot of doublespeak at today's press conference, but that was just about a half hour ago. But I think, oh, they went that way? I thought it went that way. I saw it go that way. Oh, okay.
Yeah, and also everybody here as well.
You care about all lives.
Well,
absolutely.
We got them moving around here.
Absolutely, yeah.
You care about the children that are starving after they're born. You do.
Yes,
One
yes.
second, y'all.
In fact, you know, a lot of people will say, what about the children that, you know, on order? I also believe that's what the fuck. So there's a lot more that we'd actually Jamie's lover, than not, I believe.
Oh my
You know,
gosh.
it's
Can you
disappointing.
say that
It's
one more time?
disappointing
No, that was
Oh,
off
come
the
on,
rip.
come on. He said Jenny Durkin, aka Cersei, aka Jenny not from the block, aka.
I think it's a
Oh my God, y'all are so messy.
Y'all.
Y'all.
When I hear the statement Black Lives Matter, I believe it's 100% accurate. I believe that everybody.
Okay, this car is actually
That's what gets
got one of our movement sisters in there. She's a labor organizer. What's up, Auntie?
Everybody has a value because they're made in God's image. That's what I believe.
We thought you were the getaway car.
And I'm not one of the people that would say that.
Yeah.
Northbound 5 at the North Gateway exit.
Right? You are the crew. You are a one-woman crew, my friend.
You know, if there is a movement in our society, I'm like, are we always called Black Lives Matter? Clearly, there is some
Seems
type
like
of
it.
injustice in that
Go put in work. Good to see you.
dealt with, right? Clearly, there's a disenfranchised, oppressed people that need to be heard.
That last
And so,
matter.
if you said Black Lives Matter, I
If y'all did not check out that impromptu concert from the Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone, aka Chaz, aka Free Capitol Hill, I strongly encourage you to do so. It's from last night's live feed. I posted a little social clip of it. It's about 4 minutes long. It's just really dope. It's the martial law band holding it down for community and for the arts. And that song has been stuck in my head all day.
Your religion is
So
not
we got folks over here at the entrance doing their
You have your
thing.
own religion, your own belief.
Yeah, and then I was just
I'm
stating
not-
from my
may I
position.
Show you guys what it looks like on the ground here.
I don't care about your beliefs. I care about what you know. And what I know is that every person here is guaranteed equal rights by the Constitution.
But they didn't believe that it's extended to me, right? When they shoved me out of their autonomous zone.
I did.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. And no one did get violent. No one assaulted me.
We got mainstream media.
But I did get.
We got some folks with signs. We got some other live streamers
Oh no, I got shoved out.
out here.
So if I wanted to walk back in there, could I?
use.
No, I'm saying I got pushed
Hey.
out. But could I walk back in there right now?
But let's just you're more than free to, but you're going to be very met with
So there you
the
go.
same.
So why am I the tolerant one? But these people are the intolerant.
They're free to freedom
When
of
they're
speech.
claiming-
They are free to freedom
So
of
am I.
speech.
But there's a
They're free to freedom of
Go
speech.
to any place.
They can tell you you're an asshole to your face. They're free to do that. And that's
Hey, listen, excuse me. How often does this happen? You said that you go to a different event. You're from Eastern Washington, from Moses Lake. For people who are on this stream watching, that's about three hours, other side of the mountains over here. So clearly you traveled. It was one like you came from Tacoma or from Everett. Was this your destination to be here today, or were you just in the Seattle area and stopped by?
And remember, when I showed up here today, I didn't come here to make a disruption. I came here just to film what was going on. I wanted to see for myself.
Okay. And what did you see then? You know what I'm saying? Well, I want you to share with people. I think it's important. What did you see? Was it worth this travel? 3-4 hours from Eastern Washington.
I see things that were concerning to me, but also at the same time I see things that I think are wonderful. So I think that the one thing that really does disturb me is that these are businesses, privately owned businesses that have been defaced, right? I mean, and so that for one bothers me. But overall, I would say that besides getting pushed out,
So you're saying that you have a problem with this protest because businesses have been damaged? Am I correct?
No, not overall. Not overall. I would say that's one thing. That I would
He said what he said is overall. He said the issue.
Vehicle coming out. Go. Clear.
Oh, let's go.
Open up. Go. Get out. Go. Vehicle coming out. Open it up.
So what the term, see, the thing is, a lot of terms get thrown around here loosely on all sides. You see what I'm saying? And so the term alt-right was used. It's like, hey, this guy's an alt-right. And me, I don't go too deep into all that. I'm just a street level reporter. But I'm saying, is that something that you identify as? So your beef is
I'm a lot of the people here know who I am, and I'm surprised. I mean, I'm wearing a hat today. It's not the only disguise I'm wearing today.
No offense.
Well, clearly it wasn't good enough for you.
Place at the table.
All right. So just to be clear, because you know, like everybody wants, you know, the mayor's on this one, the city council, the chief.
Everybody hasn't. Everybody hasn't. Everybody hasn't. I didn't say you haven't. I didn't say you haven't. I said everybody hasn't had a place at the table, and the point of opening this meeting was to make sure everybody could have a place at the table. The people closing the door right now.
Extrication on the red vehicle. Park your rig downstream behind engine 178. And aid 171. I want you patient care for patients in the black vehicle. Letter 171 copy, position downstream of engine 178, extrication of the red car. Aid 171 copy, patient care, black car.
And that's all we're here for.
And Aid 171 from command, I want you to park downstream in front of the red vehicle. Aid 171 copy, downstream, black vehicle. 4-5, Adam Davis. Gonna attach a case over, please. 171, go ahead. We have an unstable red patient and the driver of the black vehicle. We're going to need extrication and an additional company. Copy that, 8171. Extrication and...
Right here in this 6 blocks. Exactly. But people... Nobody. That's the thing, is that they were saying that on the media, they were saying that people, someone's there checking people's ID.
From 234 command.
I don't think nobody checking you, no way. Nobody checking you about that, no way. Boss. You know what I'm saying? But
talk with David Lewis over here, and that's how I found out about it. And I want to hear what everybody has to say, and I want to be able to share that out to the community. And I think that's very important. Have somebody from the front line that can share that information. I'm very resourceful in this community. I help people who have, you know, a dime in their pocket and put them to the resources that we provide.
And dispatch from 234 command. Dispatch.
My name is Jackie Vaughn, and I organize this People's Party. Also organize
investigation. We have one red patient and one vehicle with another striped patient. In the second vehicle, we have one red patient and one yellow patient. Both patients are being executed this time. Dispatch copy, 2 red, 1 striped, 1 yellow, with 2 extrications. Command 8183, level 1.
This is how people are able to do things and get away with things when it's behind closed doors like this. It's not transparent, it's not accountable, and it's not open to community.
Incident 3 is received, and we are proceeding. Clay, can we push you guys to the other side of Smith Street so that way we can get some traffic to 4th and eastbound James? Almost. The last van looks like they're just getting ready to turn onto 4th. As soon as they do, we can push across. Copy that. And guys, the guy in the green truck northbound, Central here. So only the unit at 4th and Yao had a model thrown at them.
You're not the problem. You aren't the problem. This person is the problem.
Extrication. Copy. Straight patient is blocking red patient, you need additional crew.
We all need to get on the same page when it comes to what we want. We all need to get on the same page when it comes to the issues.
Basically north and southbound 4th up there?
Every day, all day.
Firm, you want them open? Yeah, we're going to hold it Smith. All right, we'll work on clearing. Next copy, and in my unit at First and James copy. Hey, firm, we're going to clear up the cones right now. Copy that. We still got to hold westbound because street needs to get those ecology blocks. They can probably do it quite quickly if we just hold it. Got it. I'll stay right by that and advise you when they're clear with those. Copy that.
I'm the person who's been here longer than you, and I reached out to you to offer some sort of guidance, to mentor you.
That Texas plate, can you leave it out for a state? Disposal for it, with PC for self-work.
You know, being on some real stuff. It's more so that you need to reach into your community. We all need to have community accountability.
That is a negative on the water bottle.
That is what the issue is. I'm never going to sit there and have an issue with black folks more than I have an issue with the mayor.
Command Battalion 171.
We want to defund the police. We want to reallocate funds. We want to release.
Battalion 171, go ahead.
That is what we want. That is what we're looking for. Nothing else.
Someone see radio sim command. Give me a rundown of your units and their assignments.
But y'all do need to get on the same page. Y'all do need to reach out to
Aid 171, medic 104, and engine 178 are on patient care and extrication of the black vehicle, and engine or ladder 171, aid 183, and medic 102 on patient care and extrication in the red vehicle. We have one red patient, one striped in the red vehicle, one red, one yellow in the black vehicle.
You need to ask who's going to be at the table. Who did you invite? What community did you reach out to? LaShilah, I'm talking to you because she talked to you for some reason.
And copy what, First and Smith?
I don't know. It's really annoying and irritating. No one.
I was waiting for them to cross Smith. Now that I've got Clay's good, yes, you can open that.
Hold on just a second. I'm just saying, we don't have a problem with you. We don't know what you do, and so it is suspect. You know, folks want to help you, folks want to mentor y'all. I got an issue with you because you know.
But online, from the weather, the same location, the next different units.
You know what? You know what's the issue to me? Let me say something.
Davita,
I'm gonna say something because you know we were just trying to push parole. We had a coalition that met for a whole year about bringing back parole in Washington State. I don't remember seeing none of y'all come up there.
Okay.
I don't remember saying. No, I'm just saying. No, I'm just saying. I'm just saying. You gotta sit up here trying to push all the shit about
Hey, everybody listen to me right now.
No yelling.
Hey. We're going to get through these introductions, and then we're going to have a conversation.
I actually was at things.
I'm sorry, ma'am.
I hope people show up at the hearing tomorrow. I put it on my Facebook page. For you guys to come to the hearing tomorrow to get this officer off the force so he can be fired.
And nobody has an issue with them.
Like niggas is out here raising their sisters.
Can you take this?
Can you go talk to her?
Go ahead.
Proceed, Ivana.
On their phone, and they're going to be here in 5 minutes. You can show us in service on location, and we'll wait here until they get them out.
By police violence also. My daughter is terrified of police. We would have police knock at our company car door. To see what we were doing.
Sam, Tom, Edward, Victor, Edward, Nora, Sam, First, Eric, Edward, Robert, Ida, Charlie, Romeo, Gibbon, date of birth 1996, 0202.
Trans Women of Color Solidarity Network. I'm one of the original co-founders of Trans Women of Color Solidarity Network. I'm also here to represent Black trans people. I think what's looking at a lot of these conversations also is the fact that Black trans folks are never present.
Can you go ahead and see if you can give me the computer name? It's the Mary with the
a lot of the Black trans
6-digit number.
Out of Seattle due to gentrification and due to increased police activity. And so when I feel like when we're talking about who belongs at the table and who belongs here and who's been doing what for when, I think the problem is that
Hey, Sergeant Bishop, I'm here
is that after folks go home for the day or go home after this whole situation is over or after they feel like things are resolved, we're still here with our community having to clean up the fucking mess, and that's more work, that's more trauma on all of us. And so I think that what needs to happen is when you get called to meetings or when they get called to meetings, refuse to have the meeting unless all of us are here or unless there are other black people in the room. Otherwise, you are perpetuating the divide that the mayor is trying to create. You're perpetuating it when you agree to meet with the mayor and you don't ask any questions about who else is in the room, who else's voices need to be elevated, you know what I mean? Who else can we invite to the table? And I think that pisses everybody off. Because again, at the end of the day, when you go back home, we're left with this community, and we're left to pick up the pieces.
And we just laid him down and put him on a scale.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Jessie Miller. Folks know me as Miss Jessie. I was an activist pretty much like from the 99 to 2000 when I ran for state representative here in Washington State, Tacoma. For 8 years, I was the chair of the board for Poverty Action, statewide poverty action causes of poverty here. And then I also
facial injury. Unable to screen for COVID. This is reported UPS driver was assaulted with minor injuries. He is secure.
From the streets, you get hit off from the streets too, from the bottom of the hilltop of Tacoma. Currently, for the last years after I ran for office, you guys, because first I want to apologize. I feel like I have not been here. And you guys are the age, I'm like 10 years older than you guys. So I feel like personal responsibility because when I left, about 10 other leaders left too. And now I feel like, not nothing about her, okay? This is one person, it's one person on her. But just as me and my collective crew, we failed you, not her. We failed you. Because this shouldn't be happening. We should be farther ahead. Because we left it really nice here. We really left it nice here. So I'm not blaming it on her. I'm going to take my responsibility for you guys. Because I passed legislation. The most thing I'm proud about in 2009, before I did leave, I helped restore felon voting rights via House Bill 1517. About 500,000, African American people of color and those, felons voting rights back. And then we legalized marijuana the next year, and I was one of the first felons to run for office. But after doing this for 10, 11 years, I got worn out. You guys can understand that. When with that, my apologies. I don't put it on this woman right here. This is just one person. To me and my collective friends who got to wherever we were, we left.
Go back to Fort McClure in a minute.
So my apologies.
Brennan, I want you, Smith, and Ford.
I don't watch TV.
And you're the two that are with you to report to Stanfield.
I have a daughter who I left here, who lives here, and 2 grandsons. I just dropped her off on Capitol Hill.
Yep, and the other two with you report to Stanfield.
You know what I'm saying? I really didn't know how it was, but I said, of course, I'm coming. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is some real stuff that we're going through. And the reason why I'm here right now with her is because my daughter's down here. And she's organizing. And with that, there was threats that came from our president. And with that, I am definitely, you guys got to be on here. You guys have to make sure that you do what's right. The difference between us, okay, we have to hear now. I can't blame you to the party, okay? But with that, you don't have time for that because there's some serious stuff going on. Okay, I live in LA. I don't live here no more, you guys. It's crazy down there, but this is my town. I love you guys. I love Seattle, Tacoma. I love this. I know how to fix these things that we're talking about. I've done it before, over and over and over again. So I take my responsibility and call my crew just to help you guys. You know what I'm saying? I would tell you, I called my friends and they were like, I'm trying to protect myself. It's like, that's for you young folks, But we had to do this ourselves, so. Don't want to lose you guys.
Who is it?
And I'm going to share you guys, but I don't want to lose you. She's just doing her job with all that stuff. But me, and I have the very study foundation for this. That's just
How does this continue forward? Those are the same questions that are being discussed here, and I'd say a lot of the community organizers and leaders that are working on figuring out a strategy, this is really the epicenter for really having a forum around that and an open discussion. This is super random, but earlier today I was just thinking about...
Yeah, and to the left over there, we don't put it on camera, but that's the medics over there, and that's the medical area. I'm gonna step up here on the curb, on the sidewalk. And so, you know, there's medics on the ground, because you got to remember, when there was heavy protesting here, you couldn't call 911 or anything, because, you know, there was no response. So they have their own medical.
It's been pretty cool to see people talking with each other and
going here, and the medics have been here since day one. So it isn't like, oh, okay, now these guys are saying that they're autonomous, and so now you're going to get some medics or something. They've been out here since day one. So now you can take a look at the mural that whatever they're doing from this side over here. But this thing's got a lot of issues, though. You know what I'm saying? They're still trying to figure out their leadership. So this is the Black Lives Matter mural right here. So basically, what they did is they got 16 letters, I guess. And they got 16 different black artists to take a letter and to design it, you know.
My sister, thank you. Oh, yeah. Like, amazing. This is super dope.
And so the people here of
the conversation that we were having about organizing and strategizing, that's what I heard, correct? Okay, thank you.
All right, everybody, we all have a lot of different solutions on how things should be run and things should be handled. But we need to remain united in the fact that we remain united. We cannot have pockets of people deciding to make decisions for the rest of us without discussing it with the rest of us. We need to do this as a community. We need to do this together. They want us divided because divided we are weaker. They want us splintered, they want us fractured, and I will not allow it.
Is it going to happen?
Everybody that is here for the same reasons. Everybody that is here out of peace and love and hope. And we need to remember that. Everybody, we came here to discuss solutions on what to do with this building that we have claimed. They have entered the building, but they have not reclaimed it. We have already made the outside of this building our own. We are discussing what to do with the inside. They are in there right now, but this is not their precinct anymore.
No, it's not.
How many people have seen cop cars drive into this precinct? How many people have seen cop cars drive? That gentleman who said we need to hold this position was completely right. We are making history. We are making history, and the entire world is watching. We need to make sure we set an excellent example that can be followed by the rest of the world.
Yes.
They are trying to set traps to bait us. They are trying to set traps to make us look violent. They are trying to set traps to make us look like animals. Crazy. Terrorists. And I don't care. I expected it. We know what we're up against. We know the ignorance and the hate that we are up against. We know that they have been calling us names. Not just black people. Not just women. Not just members of the LGBTQ community. But those who choose to stand next to us as well. Those who choose to stand for what is right, for justice. They will call us names, and they will try to force a different narrative on us. But we must remain united, and the fact that we are out here out of peace, love, hope, and change for our community. And hopefully, it will be the start of something bigger, but only if we do it correctly.
I love everything that's going on today. We're just in the middle of, like you were saying, brother, keeping that unity and having a beautiful discussion in that intersection. I'd love for us to go back to that discussion. We were talking about 3 subjects. A vibe check, because there's been a lot of weird shit happening, right? A lot of undercovers, a lot of infighting, a lot of misdirection happening. So we all need to we had a vibe check that we were going on. It was beautiful. If you missed it, every day for the foreseeable future, 3 p.m. and 7 p.m. We're gonna have a people's assembly where we all get together and discuss how we're feeling, discuss what we want this place to look like, what Chaz is gonna look like. And this was somewhat of a W. We need to continue agitating. Where are we going to agitate next? What other precincts, ICE detention centers, corporations need to hear us, politicians need to hear us, right?
City Hall.
Right. What about the federal monuments up here, right? So we're going to go back to that intersection. Keep an eye out on bullshit happening over here. We'll come back and reconvene. But let's go back to that intersection, stay together and stay unified, and we'll continue the discussion.
Well, no, just up there at the top of the So those are the residents. So
say that again?
See, here's something very
only if need be. And don't flag us.
You're not needing it at this moment?
Not right now, yeah. As soon as it feels decent, let's try to get back to organizing. Because if you notice, as soon as we started organizing, all the agitators came out of nowhere. And that's the thing that we need to continue doing is organizing. So let's get back.
So if we could just move forward instead of,
you know, that's not necessarily the case. And I mean, if somebody has an argument against the zone, and there's lots of arguments against it, and people have an argument for the zone, I think that people need to really look at those kind of tangible things around this precinct. So the thing is they want to work with the city and whoever. They put out their demands. They're also, you know, in their demands now, at least at this meeting right here, of what I've heard, they have been narrowed down to the same demands that Nikita Oliver has, which is, and I've just heard that up there at the town hall meeting, which is defund the police, basically, you know, control of resources within the community, and for them to release all protesters from jail.
That even get.
I want to know, what does defunding the police look like? Because if something goes wrong and I call the police, I want to know somebody's coming.
You want the police? Say that one.
If something goes wrong and I feel in danger.
Go in.
I want to hear how you advance black people in Seattle. It was real markers, how you've done that. So you want to be progressive, you want to be STV, I'm a progressive person. You want to be progressive? You're the person keeping black people blood on your hands. Hear this stuff. I don't want to hear it. We've been working. And talk about the work that you've been doing, asking us to be patient. We have the properties right now, clear as day. Give us the properties. Put the properties in the black community. We don't need capacity. We have the capacity. We have the capacity. We have the plans. We have the programs. We can do it right now. We have people that can do better services programs. And I tell you, all the people that you're working with, that you want to do, you're so afraid. We can do it right now. All we need you to do is give us the properties. That's it.
So I would just like working with our department of neighborhood and with the equity development initiative on both this as well as the Multistream project, right? And I just want to make sure that we are.
No, I'll tell the truth. We're going to tell the truth.
At least as to how these guys are pushing it forward.
It's in the mayor's office, and that's where the holdup is. And we keep getting new barriers. That's another form. New barriers. People dying. Businesses going out, leaving the CD. People losing their property, leaving the CD. Seattle's getting whiter by the day. South Seattle.
Of course, to
pretty white. So again, we need a real disruption. We need bold action. We don't need, we're going to set up another process and talk this out for another 2 years or 3 years. I don't know when the election is. So let's just we're here to solve problems, right? That's what we want to do. We want to move forward and get things solved. That's what we're here to do.
The police only needs to be used for certain
Solutions that have been sourced, that have been developed. People here represent
might be responsible for mental health, for people with drugs and things like
they
that.
have expertise, just like anybody else. So let's put them forward with their expertise, with their solution. Other people can add to it, and we can move it forward.
But that very well might be part of that budget. It might get
Making your history. You're writing your book, and you get a choice. It's like everyone else gets a choice. And so we're making it clear, 2 worlds. One world is Jim Crow apartheid in Martin Luther King County. That's the reality of the statistics. That's the trajectory is getting worse. The other world is a new normal rooted in equity. Either you're going to be helping us get there, or you're going to be standing in the way of getting there, and you're going to end up getting run over because, you know, the arc of justice, you know which way they say it bends. So we're moving forward. Wherever you're going to be, we don't need to have people volunteering their time, taking off work. That's disrespectful. That doesn't take respect Black lives. You're here saying Black Lives Matter, but all the work that Black people are doing, it's like it doesn't matter.
And I want to say, too, that you have to remember that the systems inherently are racist. So when you're trying to do something in the same format, in the same tone as those systems, with the same processes, that doesn't make us feel comfortable, because what we need to do is uproot these systems. What we need you to do is to be a champion.
Them, and maybe we can get
Leadership of innovation. You talk about Seattle being a leader of this nation and really being innovative in their measures and in their approaches to new ways to do things. Now is the time to really showcase what that looks like. And yes, that does mean hard work for you, because you will have to create it in
mental health issues.
That has not really been done in this way that we need it to be done. This is why the civil unrest has gotten to this point where people will not leave the now Chaz area. They won't leave it because they're like, no, until we see a new system, a new change, we have to actually feel it on the ground level. It can't be talked about up in the offices of the Capitol or City Council and breaking the faction up. You really have to take a bold stance here and say, I'm willing to face this community and to work in tandem with them to really devise and create new systems and new solutions that are steeply rooted in community-led initiatives and equity. I mean, this is what King County Equity Now is really all about. As an 18-year plan, it really aims to be innovative in a way that it gets Black and brown communities and our Native communities to equity. The statistics speak for themselves. Now we have to do bold action to.
I'm gonna be honest with you, and I didn't have the camera, and I wish I would have had it.
There's already an example. They put what, $6 trillion in the street in less than a month or 6 weeks, right?
They just want to.
So really, what we need you to do also is go tell the people, you know, the Downtown Association, the Seattle Chamber of Commerce, all of the people that got the tax Amazon off. Go tell them, hey, we have to do something different this time. We can't do it like this, right? Because we need a moratorium on the predatory development in the Central District too. And if you don't step up, the community is going to start stopping, right? And you're going to be in the face of, wow, what is going on? So we need a moratorium on predatory, all development that's not consistent with the equitable development goals that your, office has. To allow our communities in the Central District and the South End to thrive. And we need to put a robust investment in equity. Here and to get ownership. That's equity. Equity is ownership. Right now, Black people, if you do the measure on commercial space ownership, Industrial space ownership. How many buildings do black people own downtown? When William Gross, who founded this community, was a developer in 1882, and we don't have any developers, we don't have any major contractors that can work on these, we don't own any of these trades, and we can't even own a little bit of residential reservation land that we had in the Central District now and develop that. Come on, man, we can do much better than that. You have the opportunity. Go talk to the Amazon, go talk to, again, the Chamber and the Downtown Association and say, you guys have to come to the table, we got to change this, because the same elements that are present in Minnesota are present here. And it's up to you to de-escalate what's going on, because if not,
your opinion is actually really mattering right now. There's somebody who's making, that's honest right now, who's listening and who's valuing your opinion.
forward. But we talk more about how we're going to do these things and how fast we can.
I think that, like I said, the best questions aren't being asked. And, you know, I mean, until people really, and the protesters, the people at Chaz, they're still getting talked to. They're not getting talked at. I mean, there was no violence last night. There was no violence the night before. There hasn't been any violence last night. You know, at least that we.
No, we need $1 billion for TV. We need to escalate that. We got too many billionaires here. That's good. You said that. Tell the private people to match that.
And I agree. And you know, look, Africa Town is an example.
The chief said that her family and relatives were part of the march. She said that
Once a step in the right direction. We need ownership. Right now we're still in a situation where we're forced to partner with other larger organizations. That's not equity. Equity means we can do our own just like others can do their own. You got 10 different white housing organizations that don't need to partner with anyone. But when the black organization comes downtown, you say, we have to partner with this group or that group, because that's what we're talking about. Get these properties over so that we have a balance sheet, so we can have our own guarantees, and we can control our own development. That's equity. That's what we're talking about.
And where's the money going to come from? Because it needs to come from the police. And we know now that every city department has a shortfall. Those departments that already have a shortfall, we know human services is not being fully funded. Where is it going to come from?
We're going to find 100,000 funding and I want at least 100 million every year for 10 years.
Mayor Durkin, I would just like to development and capital. It would be remiss of us to leave this that's to community-based public health and public safety strategies as well. Police don't make us safer. Police don't make us more comfortable. Police don't keep us alive. Police don't help our community. And I understand there are white community members whose lives and property are protected by the police, but that's not true for black people, and it's not true for indigenous people, and it's not true for most people of color. So when you say you're going to find $100 million, that is not our demand. I want to know $100 million, $180 million is going to come from the police budget. You said in your press conference today that you could not defund the police. Minneapolis is talking about disbanding their police. George Floyd, there's Shanina Lyles, there's Sean Feuer, and no one has said their names. No one has acknowledged that that was a murder. Sean Feuer had his 1-year-old baby in his hands. I don't care before that. You knew, your officers knew, he did not have a gun. They knew he didn't have a gun. He turned around and was shot in the head. His baby fell to the ground. The next of the baby. What that child's gonna grow up with. These police are out of control. Have a car fly at them at 60 miles an hour. You know where he went to? You were police officers. And when I told your police officers that he had almost children near the West Precinct, his response was, she's harassing me and they vandalized my car. Your officer did not look at that man like he had done anything criminal. But if that had been a black man and a white woman, I guarantee you that black man would have been arrested. The police are unacceptable response to public safety and public health. When you find that $180 billion for the next 10 years, it needs to be from the police budget. The police are the only institution in our city right now that gets their money every year without truly having to be accountable for the problems. Organization organization, I have to go before the city council sometimes 20 times before I get $100K. And you know what? I still haven't got that HSD contract yet.
Yep, facts.
So the police budget has to be divested from. That is the first demand. The community, public health, and public safety, as we define it. The third is to free all protesters. No protester should be in jail right now. There is a woman whose eye got shot out by a rubber bullet. That officer's not in jail. I consider that an act of terrorism. There is a child that was maced. That officer's not in jail. I consider that an act of terrorism. Why are protesters in jail? It is disrespectful. That is harm. We'll continue to see Black, Indigenous, and people of color be killed by them. We want things that, you know, we have land in the Capitol. You gotta defund the police. You gotta defund the police.
To the properties. So that's really low hanging fruit. We don't need any new money, new revenue. Let's get that started, and then we can get that development. And the Fire Station 6 can be open
immediately,
so that it can be activated while we have the next phase of fully renovated going price, the minimum ready to go. Get in there and get that going and get the technology partners.
She's good. She's okay. She's okay. She's okay. She might need a minute though.
It behooves us, as you said on the call we had together, man, that if we were going to bankrupt our community but restrict that same level of enthusiasm for racism, then we're contradictory in our stance in consideration of whose lives matter. And I will regularly stand in position as a bridge in between and agree to build consensus. But when our county says one thing and our funding priorities say another, I have to call what is and ask for accountability at that level. I am exhausted across the county of seeing Black bodies brutalized by law enforcement and not be held accountable in this fighting for funding is horrifically problematic when we are serving the young people better than law enforcement and performing acts of duty that actually allows them to be seen as the possibility they are, not the problem that they've been stigmatized as. Mayor, if we are going to be the county that says it's a public health issue, then we have to collaboratively resource the cure. And we cannot continue to invest in the very source of the disease at the level that we have been and expect people to be healed. That's problematic in ideology, and I can't continue to stand for that. So I, in consideration of this $100 million, that we seriously consider divesting from these institutional racist practices and begin to invest in alternatives that are rooted in community. Thank you. Just to speak on
So, you can, I can stay. I will stay. I have a hard
Okay.
Line off engine 178 for fire tag primary search, check for extension Delta 1. 173 copy, pull line off engine 178 to Delta 1 exposure for fire tag primary search, check for extension. Command ladder 171, level 1.
And so these tents that you see over here, these are the mutual aid.
Ladder 171 from command, roof report.
So you can get, if you need some water, get you water.
Command copy, roof report. Ladder 171.
Whatever, you know what I'm saying? And believe it or not, a lot of nights, even when the standoff was going, unless it got funky with the flashbangs and the gas, people would be in the park the whole night chilling.
Yeah, and they said it's been peaceful over here.
Yeah, I mean,
They said, I've heard that it happened.
How you guys doing?
Somebody got the, it's
That's
been peaceful.
Capitol Hill, man. They stay smoking up here.
Yeah, I see. Dispensary seats.
These guys, I mean, that's another thing, man. It's like, you know, these guys are just, you know. So, I mean, like anything, everything has a potential for violence. Anything, you know, you get people together, the potential is there. But
I know, it's just
I think that it's...
The way way the violence has been portrayed, it's just, it like I said, on the outside of looking in, it takes away from the bigger picture. The bigger picture is that we're trying to come together to get change. And you shooting somebody, you know, folks running folks over and just all the stuff that has been done, that don't help my life matter. That doesn't help. And even with the police, you know, there's other ways to handle things. What other ways? I don't know. I don't know what that looks like. That's that change that we're all looking for. That's the change that is being talked about. That's the change that's needed. You know, but I just...
Yeah. No, I understand.
We got our hands up and we're coming in peace. And everything that is going around with Black Lives Matter should represent that. That's just me. There's folks out there that's militant. Take it back, take it by storm, do all that.
I mean, and that's where it's like, and I think that a lot of people who might follow me on the stream and in real life, in the conversation, well, this is real life, is just like, man, you know, I don't really got no agenda. You know what I'm saying? The guys were like, man, oh, you got this platform. How come you're not telling them that they should be doing this and doing that? Because I'm like, man, shit, I'm not going to tell nobody nothing that it's like, you know what I'm saying, that I don't have no agenda. I'm just telling you how I see it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not with Black Lives Matter. I'm not with the protesters. I'm not with the city. I'm not with nobody. Yeah. You know, if anything, I'm just, man, I'm with my family, with me. You know, of course, I'm with our community, lifelong contributor to, you know, to the community, to the Central District, my whole family. But, you know, I'm definitely not sitting here with some, you know, I mean, and people early on, they used to be like, because sometimes when my stream gets picked up by woke, you got 100,000 people watching this stream, all these different platforms online. You get 100, yeah, no, it's okay. You get 100,000 people watching this stream all at the same time from around the world. And so, you know, I mean, the things that some people say is like, man, oh, you know, you're black. So because you're black, you need to be saying and doing this and that. And I'm like, man, that's crap. You know, I'm going to say it and call it as I see it, irregardless. You know what I'm saying? I don't need nobody to remind me, am I black? And the funny thing is, Kenya, it is the good thing. It's my good friend Kenya, her mama over there opened a school. Right? A children's home in Nairobi. You know what I'm saying? Nah, we streaming the show right now, bro. Yeah, just find me, man. Whatever. And so Kenya's mom opened a children's home there in Nairobi. And I used to, Yeah, no, it'd be all right. Who knows? And I used to go back and forth. When I'd go back and forth, I'd call Kenya. I'd be like, yo, Kenya, I'm going to Nairobi in like 3 days. What she did, she'd hit her mom over there in Nairobi, you know, with a bunch of supplies and stuff for the children's home over in Kenya. And I'd be flying. I'd go to Nairobi and then to Dar es Salaam. But it'd be funny because every people who sit here on my stream, they'd be like, man, you ain't black enough and you ain't this and that. And I'd be like, first of all, I spent almost half my career on the continent of Africa doing amazing dynamic projects in communications and in technology and in media. And then you get somebody, yeah, no problem. You get a lot of people on the stream who ain't never done nothing but watch a few YouTube videos. And you know what I'm saying? It's like, man, you know, you're not being black enough. Yeah. Hey, what's up, guys? How are you? So again, you're entering the zone. You know, I mean, they were saying that people were checking IDs and all that. Okay. Nobody checked the ID. Nobody's checking ID. That's the whole point. So you see, this is Seattle's art district, Capitol Hill, and so it's a lot of art up here and everything else. But you know, I mean, that's my biggest thing, and that's the flip side of social media, is that somebody can be hella inflammatory online who ain't earned no stripes. You know, like I said, man, I done been part of 2 African presidential campaigns. Worked on 2 campaigns over on the continent of Africa. 2 presidents over there. Worked on all kinds of landing fiber optic cable to give connectivity to millions of people. You know what I'm saying? Working with mobile technology providers and schools and everything else. And you know what I'm saying? The list goes on and on. Everything's free. Just mutual aid.
They got free peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Is it strawberry jelly? Because I'm a picky free eater. Can I have a water?
So everything up here is free, and this is the whole thing with mutual aid. And so,
You know what? This is super dope. This is super dope, though.
Right.
You guys will provide. This is super dope. No, baby, I can't do that. Granny, no.
They're always sharing that on Capitol Hill, but mutual. But so you see that, right, on certain days, so on the weekend, we'll see what's going on here, but on the weekend, you'll find that this whole area here is just full of tents, people giving out stuff. That's why I told you they had like a massage therapist and crazy and everything else. And this early on in this, yeah, early on, you want to squirt?
No, I'm okay.
Early on, when I started seeing this pop up over here, you know what I'm saying? I let the world know. I was like, hey man, these guys look like they're gonna be here for a minute. They got supply chain, they got this and that.
I remember that video.
Yeah, and I was like, man, these guys are gonna be here, you know, and you know, and they still are here. And that's the whole point. Is it's like, you know, it's entrenched. You feel me? And believe me, if the barricade was still there, these guys would just be in front of the barricade right now, still protesting. The bigger problem, see, the thing is, Kenya, no one's addressed the big problems. Everybody keeps putting on the Band-Aid and everything else, but until the big problems are addressed, and the big problems aren't impossible. You know what I'm saying? I mean, through communication, all things are possible, but nobody.
The big problems.
Man.
What have you heard out here?
The big problem, to be honest with you, the big problem is there's a vacuum in leadership. You know what I'm saying? I mean, really, and that's a problem kind of on both sides. Because, clearly if there were leaders that were out there that could be like, hey, guys, let's do X, Y, and Z, and we're going to do whatever, they would have been here a long time ago. You know what I'm saying? And maybe those leaders are being forged in all of this right now. And maybe we'll see some of those voices come out and everything else. But what's really missing over here is a sense of leadership, a sense of communication, a sense of, let's go through over here to that corner gate, a sense of, this is just more mutual aid. People bring a couch. You know, if you're sitting out all day, you want to sit down, you just grab a seat. Yeah. This is the only guy making money down here. He's trapping too. The guy who sells hot dogs, he be out here from like 8 in the morning selling hot dogs. Everything else you'll find out here is mutual aid. And so look, the guy who's selling something has the longest line. It's the way that it works. Right. So, yeah, back after the club, right? Getting that hot dog back in the day. Back. Yeah. So, Capitol Hill, they love their dogs up here. They was joking, right? So it was joking. It was like, man, these guys would all went home a long time ago. Someone promised them a brand new dope dog park because everybody up here got dogs. But
you know what?
But the thing is,
they got dope dog parks up here.
What's missing and the big problem here, and unfortunately, man, we just keep saying this and everything else. And even now, there's alliances that are being formed. But man, and ultimately people will fall into these alliances and they'll move forward and things like that. But it just would have been really dope, man, that all of these people who are professionals, one way or another, either they've been elected into office or they lead an organization or this and that. Hey, L Train just got on. Say hi to L Train.
What's up, L Train?
Leonard, tall ass.
What's up, bro?
Leonard Jones in the building. But the thing is all these people who are professional politicians or professional organization leaders and everything, the expectation is like, man, that they're the professionals at leadership. Just like I got on the police, I was telling the police, I was like, you guys are the experts at body language. You guys are the experts at crowd control. You know what I'm saying? You can't be mad at the crowd. The crowd's not control. You're the expert. You set the way, the barrier, the way you want. You do this and that. And just like, man, if the people that the voters elect and the people that lead organizations, the expectation is they are the leaders. But, there's a vacuum here on Capitol Hill. You know what I'm saying? There's a vacuum here. And, man, from my first day on the barricade when I was choking on tear gas up here, and I said, man, the crisis creates opportunity. And it's an opportunity for leadership to come out and for someone to fill the vacuum. And to the day right now, you know what I'm saying? I mean, it's fine. Some people come through, they shake hands and everything. But when you talk to the core people in this zone, they'll tell you that it's like, the leadership's still not there yet. And, I think that might be one of the most unfortunate things. But also, it tells you as well that public servants can be in office and you see the gap in the distance between the actual people. You see what I'm saying? I mean, like, I wasn't around, but the stories I hear is like Sam Smith, rest in peace. And when I say Sam Smith, he was Seattle's first black Seattle city council member. And actually there's a park above the I-90 lid on the western side of the I-90 when it gets there. And that's named Sam Smith Park. And that's named after, our first black city council member. Right. Now, I'm just going to get on the other side of you. No, stand there because the microphone's right here. So now they can hear both of us. But, they said that Sam Smith, if there was a problem in the community, that Sam Smith could be on a granular level. He'd go to somebody's grandmama's house and be like, yeah, what's up? Because he was so in touch with what was going on. He knew that even though he was downtown in City Hall, that he had to stay very much connected to the things that are going on in the district. And so I think that what we've seen is that, like, man, I don't think that there's the
world will be watching
who can be downtown and come here. I mean,
and when they make a mistake, the world will see it.
What's somebody like our state senators do?
And the world may not change then, you guys. I'll be honest with you. It may be more than just one. It may be more than just one stand-up. It may be more than just one time you're hit, you're hurt, you're attacked. But we've been doing this fight a long time, and we are going to keep fighting until we get what we are fighting for. Now, as I mentioned before, our first demand is we do not want them inside this building. They came here early in the morning. They came here early in the morning when there was not many of us out. So as we all know, we need people here. If we are going to hold this building, we need to see more tents here. We need to see more tents in the park down there. We need to have a presence or they will regain theirs.
That was their contribution to the community to try to say, like,
that is completely right. This gentleman just pointed out, you guys.
We're listening to these things, so we're gonna go ahead.
COVID is on the decline.
Much love, Leonard.
COVID is on the decline. Right now, a lot of us are off of work and we have extra time. Right now is the time we need to get things done. So we need to make a stand. If we are going to take this building, we cannot allow police inside of it. So when they walk out, allow them to exit this building peacefully. When they try to re-enter, let them know that they are not wanted here.
I'll just keep this brief. Don't forget why we're out here. Don't forget the lives that were lost to police. And performative activism will be the death of this movement. Don't let your friends see on Instagram, post blackout posts, and call it midnight. Because at the end of the day, that's nothing for our environment. I shouldn't have to fight for my basic human rights. I shouldn't have to be out here for this. This should have been something given to me by birth. Don't let your friends sit there and say, I did my part. Okay, keep going. Why is it that you have to stop at that very moment? Don't let this block just be something that we want just for the fun of it. Don't forget the lives that were lost for this day. Don't forget that the fact that this block exists because people are being killed out there for things that they probably don't even commit. And don't forget that most importantly, it's not just Black Lives Matter. It's not just saying Black Lives Matter because everyone matters, obviously. But don't let someone sit there and tell you all lives matter in opposed to Black Lives Matter, because we're doing this because Black Lives Matter haven't enough. Sorry, haven't mattered enough. Just don't forget, if you see someone just sitting there like not doing anything, don't forget that the reason that they're out here is because they support our movement. Spread the word, and even as a matter of fact, if anybody comes to you and they want you to know, they want to know about this movement, it's up to them to inform themselves. I shouldn't have to advocate for my right for someone else. I shouldn't have to tell them why you need to support my right to live. That's not how it works. It's a very important thing that's going on here. We need to understand the main purpose of it is to get justice for the lives that were lost. And that's all I got.
Anybody else like to come and grab the mic?
And so, that was his position over here, and he was like, man,
Do y'all know what the significance of the number 47 is?
I think he's got a very big following.
In 1999, there's an African immigrant in New York City named Amadou Diallo. He was outside of his own apartment in his own neighborhood. He reached for his wallet outside of his own door, and 4 police officers shot 47 bullets at him. 19 of them hit him, and he died shortly after. None of those cops saw a day of jail time. They're all acquitted in court. This is what the movement is about. A badge should not be a license to kill with impunity. No cop should have the right to end another life just because he's wearing a uniform. Black lives matter, Latino lives matter, Middle Eastern lives matter, Asian lives matter, and of course white lives matter. Everyone fucking matters. These cops do not have the right to extinguish a single one of our lives. Stay strong, ladies and gentlemen, and stay in this fucking block. Thank you.
Hey, I would like to issue a reminder about the scale of the problem that we are fighting here. This was a system of oppression that has been set up over hundreds and hundreds of years, purposely built to oppress black and brown people and minorities in general, indigenous, all of them. When we come out here and protest and riot, it's not going to end in a week. It's not going to end in 2 weeks. We got to go all the way to the ballot box. We have to keep on fighting. We have to stay out here. We have to keep our voices being heard. We want to dismantle a system of oppression that is countrywide. We have to start with localities, municipalities, counties, states. We all get wrapped up in the national conversation, but we lose sight about the fact that this is on the ground. It's not, just a system. It is personal, as we have seen. They are shooting gas at us. They are attacking us. They are imprisoning us. They are shooting us. Black and brown people are getting murdered. It happened for generations. And we have to keep up our passion, our fight. We have to keep the energy. We have to keep the hunger and keep going all the way to the ballot box and beyond. Just stay fighting, stay hungry.
Yeah, I was like,
Open mic, you guys. I know we have a lot of voices that need to be heard.
Yeah, out here again, with the people.
Step on up.
Who are you?
Eagle Son Williams. I'm an 8th generation woodcarver out here in Seattle.
All right, thank you.
I get saddened by seeing how we get divided for fighting for the power. I think that we have to stay focused on why this movement started, as we've seen other people speak. Black lives are at the center of this movement. We cannot lose sight of that. I'm saying that I think that it's important not to divide amongst ourselves. I've been talking to my community of Latinos to know that this is also part of their fight. I'm not trying to detract from Black lives, but brown lives are also lost. And I think that if we work together, we can actually fight this enormous power that has oppressed all of us for so long. It is not productive for us to divide among lighter shades or darker shades or whose sexuality. I feel like there's a lot of divisions that's starting because of seeing how privilege is infiltrating the movement, right? So we're seeing a lot of white faces. Yesterday I was here.
I'm still donating this.
People of color to stand up, not just black people. And I saw
you don't have to give this to the person. I'm like, you know, I'm
5% of the people that were here were people of color. And I think that just speaks to how much support we have of other demographics. And to call out those more privileged demographics to not only just show up here, don't just come and be part of this, which is very important so that you learn and you spread this, but I think that's the part that we're calling your privilege to be used to educate other people like you. We need your white voices to educate other white voices, because the likelihood that another white person will listen to you as a white person about how fucked up this is way higher. So we need you guys to continue to support this movement if you're not a person of color, but I think that it's very important to continue to spread this knowledge to your communities that are privileged.
Whose lives matter? Whose lives matter?
Black lives matter.
Say his name.
George Floyd.
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 Now listen, I'm gonna tell you guys about a person named Sean Furr. Sean Furr was killed by the Seattle Police Department while he was holding his daughter, and they shot him in the back of his head, and he was holding his daughter.
Just about everything.
Was that a weapon? I didn't know a baby was a weapon, y'all. But they didn't care. They killed him anyway. So when I say his name, I want you guys to say Sean Furr. And the reason why I say that is we have to make sure we hold these officers accountable for the lives that they killed here. Say his name. Say his name. Say his name. What do we want? When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Justice.
When do we want it?
Now.
Whose lives matter?
Black lives matter.
All right, I was just up here to make an announcement, but thank you. The crowd is good. Listen, 8 o'clock, we are going to have, I believe, 4 speakers that's going to speak. So again, just letting you guys know, throw that out there. Please hang around. We're turning this protest into information. We want to make sure we can keep the knowledge going. You know, this is not going to change. And just because they're in there, we're not going to let them take this narrative. We're out here every day holding them accountable and teaching the people about what they need to know. We're going to be out here when? Every day! Every day!
Every day.
Every day!
Every day.
Whose lives matter?
Black lives matter.
Including you.
I want to tell y'all a little bit about me. I grew up in Seattle. I was raised by my grandmother and my aunt. And I remember one of the first stories she told me when I was a little kid. It was about Black Wall Street being bombed. And at the time I thought, why would they do that? What have we done that they hate us so much that they would bomb a city full of us?
And not to say that when people, tell their story, because sometimes they come and people just have
they're afraid of us or who we are.
Get it off your chest type thing.
And it never made sense to me. As a kid and growing up, I get to see videos of the same thing my grandma told me about in front of my face, and I see people online who don't say nothing about it. They say, oh, well, he was a kid and he might have stole something from the store, or...
We love you. We love you.
And so there's quite a few.
But let me tell y'all something. I love my grandma to death. She passed April 30th recently. And before our first big protest, I saw a video online, 21-year-old in front of his house. And the cops had their guns drawn on him. I know some of you probably saw this video. The cops had their gun on him. He was 21, but he looked so eerily. I felt like I was him. He looked just like me. And then his grandma came out in like a gown my grandma would wear.
Like I say, Ken.
And the cops moved on the kid. And the grandma, she had her arm over his body saying, "Leave this boy alone." And I remember that arm when I was a kid. If my grandma had to slap on the brakes, that arm would come up over my chest, and I swear that arm would protect me from God himself. And then watching this video, you see the grandma fall over him. Immediately I shouted, "No!" I can still barely articulate what I saw. The amount of shame I would just feel of somebody assaulting my grandma, and I can't do nothing. It was heartbreaking. It was gut-wrenching. These are the moments that we all march for. To be seen as human. To be seen as you don't have to be shot at. You don't have to pull our guns out for us on a simple traffic stop. And you know, coronavirus bringing a lot of change. It brought us out here. Hey, and I can't go back to the way things were, y'all. I don't know about y'all. I can't go back. Thank you. Keep the movement strong.
Just call me when
Who
you
do I
go
pass
by.
this to?
You know, yeah, it's all okay. No, it's all good. So.
Hey folks, we have a group that are arranged to do a program from 5:30 to 7. I'll let them introduce themselves.
Hello, I'm here representing the Seattle Police Department African American Community Advisory Council. This council allows you to have conversations with police officers and community members. This organization is over 30 years old, and it's been around forever. I'm sure you've seen next door posts to come to meetings for the AACAC, and that's where you can have your voice heard, and you can talk directly with the chief of police. Our chief of police, Carmen Best, is an African American woman. Do you know how hard it was for her to get that job? Do you know how many people had to support her to be in that position? Do you know? I walked in this precinct. I'm not sworn. I didn't know what was going on. I did not know that it had been taken over. And I fell to my knees and I cried. Because this precinct became a precinct because of Councilman Sam Smith from the 1970s and others. He's a product of the central area of Seattle, the African American community, and he deserves respect. Those people fought to get this precinct built. This precinct was built by African Americans. They're the ones that fought to make it here. If you have a problem in your home and you live in this area and you want police response in 3 minutes, you're supposed to get it. Now you might have to wait 20 minutes. Now you might have to wait 30 minutes. What you need to remember is Black lives do matter, but there's also Black lives that are police officers. They feel the same way that you do. I am not a police officer. I work with police officers who are every color of the rainbow. This precinct, they have had to look at me every day
for several years. And I'm gonna tell you this, they respect me.
They kill us!
Police officers killing people is a national problem.
They got 30 friends of the police officers.
It is a national problem. It's a national problem. Wait a minute, mister. You know what? You know what? I have African American brothers, sisters, sons,
I've been on the
daughters.
block.
You know what? Do you know what?
I put this precinct here. We ran it out of the Central District. We ran it off of 20,
my family is out here in these streets.
Don't give me a hand.
They are black. Nobody knows who they know in the police department. They can be shot down just like I could be. When I go out, nobody knows who I am. I can be shot down. I'm black. I know his story, and I know several stories. I've heard so many stories, and I cry. Okay, I've been to several funerals. I go to funerals. If an African American son, daughter is murdered in this area, I'm gonna go to the memorial service and I'm gonna represent. I'm not gonna be afraid to say who I am and where I'm from and what I do. I'm not afraid. But you know what? You need to support your chief of police, and you need to support the Seattle Police Department African American. You know what? One person can throw out some tear gas. When I saw those streets, it looked like water to me. I'm the daughter of Mississippi, and I said, why are they spraying water on those people? I got mad. I was like, what the hell is going on? The thing is protest for us. Protest for African American people. Keep your momentum going. But getting up here telling your life story that doesn't have anything to do with the movement, keep that to yourself. Okay.
Stories are the movement. Give a round of applause, y'all.
Wait.
Give a round of applause.
I have one more thing to say.
Yes. The people want her to continue. This is a public service announcement. The people want her to continue.
You guys need to sit down and have a conversation with the Seattle Police Department.
Listen, can I say something? Okay, so hold on, you guys. Hold on. Listen, hold on, you guys. She's willing to actually have a true dialogue, and she asked the question. She said, hold on, my brother. She asked us, why haven't we tried to not talk to the police? And that's not true. Chief Best came here this morning, but she stopped us. She was not trying to talk to the people at all. She kept it going and kept it moving, my sister. So please, again, we the people, do the people want her to continue? Do the people want her to continue? Thank you. Whose lives matter? Whose lives matter?
Hey, everybody, I was just at Bird's Red Apple about an hour ago. You know what they said to me? They said, what's that ugly thing on your face? That's what they said to me. They said, you should probably get a college education. This was an hour ago. The guy said he was going to beat my ass. He said, if I wasn't at work, I'd beat your ass. All for being Hispanic. I did nothing wrong. We need to go down there right now. We need to go down there right now. That is an active thing. We need to go down there right now. We need to shut Bird's Red Apple down. That's a white. It was 5 managers that all ganged up on me. I called them out for being racist. You know what they said? What you gonna do about it? That's what they said. They said, what you gonna do about it? You can't do anything. They put up their American flag after that.
My name is Omar.
We need people here, we need people there, we need people both. We can't wait for tomorrow to go to Madison Park.
Do the people want to stay?
We need to go right now.
Do the people want to stay?
If you want a change, we need to go right now.
Do the people want to stay?
Yes. Of course they want to stay. You know what? You need to be fair. Everybody else's voice has got to say their opinion.
She came out and said that we wasn't trying to have a dialogue with the police, and that's not true. She's coming out here to tell her whole image on the mic.
I don't let her go
She gets to finish. She gets to finish.
But you guys just interrupted the one man that was over here freely protesting on his own will and got him out of the crowd just about an hour ago.
We did? And not to mention the light screens right here.
Thank you.
You know what?
Exactly. Oh, you don't like to be called out yourself, huh?
I'm not being called out.
He just called you out.
Well, let me tell you something. You know what? Let me tell you something. I can tell you have all your followers. Like I said before, fuck all you white people that have taken over our movement. This is our movement. You need to follow us. You know what the thing is? You have hijacked it. You have taken the meaning away.
We're not gonna. You cannot portray the image and make the image because of me.
What you like, go for it. Don't try to shut the black community out.
I'm black myself.
Oh, but you guys are black. You're not black. You are not black.
What?
Wow.
Bickering and back and forth.
You guys are starting the bickering.
What kind of bickering? What kind of change do you get from bickering back and forth?
You're starting it!
Check this out. I'm not done talking, boy. I'm not done. Randy Francis on the mic. I'm not done. So you gonna let me talk? You gonna let me talk? I got the mic. Hush. Like I said, what that? No, I ain't done.
No.
6 feet, man. 6 feet. You want to take folk up there? What you want to do at Burt's Red Apple? What you gonna do? If this is supposed to be a peaceful protest, then you know what? Use your words and your pen. Then go ahead and write a review, write a complaint. Do what you gotta do. But taking a bunch of folk up there to riot and do all that, what does that solve? Nada. Didn't I say 6 feet? Didn't I say 6 feet? You got 2 more to go. You got 2 more to go. You got 2 more to go. I'm not going to say it again. Check this out. Hold on. I'm not here to answer questions. I'm simply here to say, what does the bickering back and forth do? If everybody is here for a peaceful protest, then give people a chance to speak. Not everybody is going to have the same opinion. Everybody gets to get up and talk. I don't agree with this man. He's a black man. I don't mean I got to agree with him, but I got to let him talk. Like he gotta let somebody else talk. We are all here to say what's on our minds and our hearts. I'm not done. No, you can't, because this ain't a Q&A. 6 feet. 6 feet.
Let us
6
speak.
feet. Now you're in my personal space, my brother.
Let us
6 feet.
speak.
Back up, just back up, okay? Just give me some respect and back up, okay? Will you back up?
Let us
Will you
speak.
back
Let us speak.
No respect. No respect.
No.
And unfortunately, that is what's being portrayed on the media. That's what's being portrayed on social media and everything, is that you all out here with no respect. I came down here to see for myself what's going on. All I see is from what I scroll through on Facebook, from what I listen to on Q13. I came to see for myself what the hell is going on with my city.
No.
This is not what they're showing you. This ain't what they're showing you. We are showing you the man that runs through the crowd shooting people. That's not respect. We are all here to respect. We got a platform to talk. We all get a chance to do that. I'm not here to rile you up so that we can go and bang on somebody because they mad because I'm black or Hispanic or whatever. I didn't come here for that. That's not what, that does not help my Black Lives Matter. That don't help my Black Lives Matter. You want to know what helps me? The white people who think they're getting over. Matter of fact, any color who thinks that they're getting over. It's your mindset. That's what has to change before your actual, what you're out here doing changes. You got to change your mindset. That's what we're asking. Change your mindset. See me as a different person. Yeah, I got a past, but my future is way brighter. I can't do that by myself. I need my village. You guys are supposed to be a village. You're supposed to be our village. We all supposed to be in this together. We're supposed to be in this together. what anybody got to say. This is my opinion. This is my platform. I get to feel this way. Y'all get to feel.
Take it to the police. We don't want to hear it.
You want to hear it? And let me tell you something. The only way that change can come from the police, the thing about it is, and I literally just asked him on camera, I asked him. Oh, my bad. Y'all can hear me though. I know y'all hear me though. Yes. The only way that change is going to happen, everybody got to put their cards out on the table. If you want, y'all want change, they want change. But how do we make that happen? Tearing folks shit up. Because innocent people who own these businesses and whatever I'm talking about right here and right now. Listen, Papa. Listen, Papa. Listen, Papa. I know you. I know what you have done. Check this out. I'm talking about right here and right now. Listen, Papa. Listen, Papa. Listen, Papa. I know you. I know what you have done. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you. Like you were, when you was camping out in the... You know what? You know what? You know what? I'm gonna pray for you. I got some help. That's what this is about. That's what y'all came to see, right? Ain't that what y'all came to see? Everybody get a chance to voice their opinion, right? Is that what, free speech? Is that free speech?
Look at you. I can't take you nowhere.
Hey, hey, silence.
Hey, Omar. Hey, what's up?
And act like you want to take a gang of people and go riot up there. The hell is that going to do? What is that going to do? Baby, you give me some hand sanitizer. You got some Jameson too, kid.
Oh, I got the Jameson down here. Oh, come on.
I am a granny. I got babies out here.
That's what I was trying to tell him. You talking to somebody, grandmama, you know what I'm saying?
This is crazy. This is crazy. I definitely think you needed someone to... Somebody telling me to shut up because they watching. Yes. Hey, man. You better leave me alone, bro.
You know what's crazy is, so the reason I'm following her is she saw the stuff on TV and she came up here. We're from the same neighborhood, so I recognized her. And I said, let me give you a tour of everything. And we went on a tour, and she was like, man, it's not like on TV. You know what I'm saying? But,
very, very important, powerful.
yeah. I mean,
and to incite a crowd to go down someplace.
Yeah, I mean, it's what is that? And man, you know what? People got to get over this. Well, just because you're black and I'm white, it has to be this, it has to be that, man. I'm like, you know what I'm saying? There's specific issues around that, man. But you know, that can't be a blanket statement.
You are doing such a difficult thing. And this is all a part of the learning process of learning how to speak strongly, but effectively, and hearing what everybody has to say. And she made some wonderful points that really have to be out there. So, but this whole forum is so challenging because we don't know how to do this. And so we're all kind of feeling our way.
Right.
But you're in the forefront, and it's just so wonderful.
Right. People are feeling their way through it.
Our media addiction and our relying on these sound bites is so essential.
Yeah, I mean, and the best thing is about the stream is it's unedited. It's this and that. I've talked to somebody. I started off with Chief Best. I had an interview with Chief Best for 30 minutes today. So I interviewed her. And then, you know, I talked to the guy that they called the right winger and they kicked out. Turns out that he's some abortion activist from Moses Lake, and you know, and that was his agenda. Then I talked to the guys that are all the way over here, and you know, and something like mutual aid. Then I talked to Kenya, who it's her first time. All she's seen is the sound bites and on the social media. So you know what I'm saying? I just wanted to try to give as many people as many perspectives as possible, because you know, the other thing is you know, I haven't seen any local news because it's crazy. I'm out here all day. I will say that they have, it's tough no matter who it is, but because you got 30 minutes to put all the news in. And so it's not really a forum. I think that what people need to understand is that broadcast news is just one soundbite or whatever, just pique your interest. And now it's up to you Well, yeah, but it's right. I mean, I've streamed probably, if I stream 10 hours a day for 14 days, I'll bring that down. I've streamed at least 100 hours directly from the people, the front line, you know, that pink umbrella video, all that stuff, you know what I'm saying? I've filmed all of that, and it's out there. And it's accessible. And the thing is like, man, it's at this day and age, if people are only relying upon the news, that's why she came, though. She was like, man, I'm not just going to rely upon the news. So she came out here to see it for herself. And I think that's, you know, what people might want to do, you know. And if you can't make it out here, there's so many streams online. There's so many things on. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you're wonderful. Both of you are very wonderful.
Well, thank you, ma'am.
You being here and putting all this effort.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
It's very difficult time.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
But right now, I don't agree with.
Hey, Kenya. So the people from NBC News are calling me. I've been talking to NBC News and CBS all day. So I think they're getting ready. Let me see here.
Leslie White. Madison Street.
So. Oh, so no. I mean, actually, wow, this is great. So NBC News is asking me a question, everybody, over the stream. So I'm talking to a correspondent from NBC News, and what he has said, he's like, man, this thing looks pretty mellow. He's like, is it mellow? And I'm like, well, yeah. I mean, it's pretty mellow. So maybe we're gonna give one more swoop around for the correspondent for NBC News, and we can kind of give him, you know, one more lap. I'm just gonna walk down the hill and walk back up. I don't know if you're up for it or not, or if you're gonna get out of here.
I need. Who got a 5 in their pocket? I need a small bottle of Jameson.
No. I got. Come on, just follow me. All right. So, again, I'm sorry, brother. So, we got our guys from NBC News, and they said that they're on the stream and they've been checking it out. So we're gonna give him a sweep back through. You know what I'm saying? Like, all eyes are on Seattle. This is town hall meetings over here. They've been having town hall meetings and break hall sessions.
It's nothing but a fucking hashtag. That's what it is. Okay? That's what the fuck it is. Let's be real here.
Glad you guys didn't pick up the feed.
So for all
you got a lot of bleeps.
That want to sit here and tell me that I'm not black.
This is
when I walk through the street every day.
This is the precinct right here, Tim, and the front door. And so before this morning, this area where you see glass, all it had wood and everything else that was going on here. The police re-entered this building at 8 a.m. And this is Pine Street. Actually, they've renamed this Black Lives Matter Way. And they're going to do the unveiling tonight. Kenya. And I mean, we see a lot of people. Like I said, this is a town hall meeting that's been going on up there. We're now, right on, man. We're now walking west on Pine.
See, that scares me. He got a whole mask on. What are you doing?
Oh, he's just, you know, he's a lucha libre, maybe. You know, it's what it.
Nacho Libre.
Yeah, you know, it's like the wrestlers from Mexico. They wear the mask and everything. You know. So we're walking down on Pine. So listen, I'm gonna let you in over here, and you just help yourself, and I'll be back in like, Kenya. Hold on a second. Hey, what's up, man? I'm doing good. How are you?
Good. I got footage coming in tomorrow.
Do you?
Yeah.
I need it.
Yeah, I know you do.
Thank you.
I need it too. I don't know why.
Hey, what's up, Jordan? This is Kenya. You'll find what you're looking for in here. Help yourself. I'll be back in 5 minutes, okay? He'll show you. All right, so let's head back down here. Like I said, told you guys, I've been getting hit up all day. And so the guys from NBC News had just told me that they're on the feed here. So we're walking westbound. And actually, Tim, all you guys over there, this was the original Western Barricade. So when you look at the last footage, I'll be like, you know, hashtag Western Barricade and all those kind of things. This was the Western Barricade right here. And this is actually the place where it got funky. This is the pink umbrella moment, where you saw the pink umbrella and how everything went downhill fast. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, one of the craziest things about this protest, man, is that barricade, the issues of a barricade here. So now we've come down to the lower area right here, and we see there's a mutual aid. You see the blue tents over there, mutual aid. Let me take you over here real quick, Tim. Let's look at this is what a lot of people so I'll be honest with you. If you're a politician or a community leader and you come down here and you want to impress people or whatever else, man, stop here. You know what I'm saying? Or stop at mutual aid. I'm giving you guys some free tips out there, so when you come back here, you can come. You know, the community members, the protesters, people in the neighborhood, they built this memorial wall. They put these candles out here. Light a candle or do something. And I think people might feel that you're here more than just to be here. You know what I'm saying? That you might actually trying to build a relationship with them. At least that's what I've noticed from my reporting now for the last few weeks. Street art gonna get street art, man. And there's lots of street art out here. And for people watching nationally, internationally,
I'm a bit hyped. My God, how fucking long
don't waste any time. You see the
What is this, the slowest fucking...
Oh, you know.
All right, guys,
hello,
keep
sir.
it spaced. They're gonna get freaked out because we're too close. They're holding mace already. Oh, what's going on over here? Oh yeah. These guys, yeah, that shit's not important.
So
what are we doing? What are we doing?
Let's
go.
And for people, I think a lot of people are getting to know mutual aid because of COVID and everything.
I forgot. I need to hold the camera. It's my job. People need to see this. The world needs to see this shit. Tear gas? Oh, please tell me. Again? You're not welcome here! This is not your neighborhood. Yeah. Get the barricades, get the barricades. Shit, I'm trying to get a good picture of what's happening. I got it. Our street! Get the fuck out! Excuse me. Sorry. Excuse me, guys. Sorry. Our street! Our street! Our streets! Our streets! Our streets! Excuse me. I'm trying to get a better view. Excuse me, sorry.
I don't trust the funeral. Fuck this shit.
You are not welcome here! Yo, they're going to the other barricade! They're going to the other barricade! They're going over here! Leave some people here!
Yeah, not everyone leave!
Yeah, not everybody! Okay, but... People need to stay here too. But not me, because I gotta get thousands of people watching this shit. 400 just on mine. That's what happens when the shit goes down. You always notice your numbers will like inflate ridiculously when shit starts going down. People want chaos naturally. It's weird. Oh, I'm fucking running. Ooh. What's that quote? Yeah, sex is good, but have you ever fucked the system? Yeah, if you're telling me to block anybody at this point, I can't. This is just too, it's too hype. I gotta stay with it 100%. If you're saying anything to me, I'm sorry. I'm not gonna be able to watch it. I'm just struggling to keep up. Not a bad idea to keep people at the station too, maybe, but at this point we got too many thin numbers. Oh yeah, look at that. You see that? You see the barricade? People just fucking.
Battery pack because it might need another one. All right, let's go for it.
Guy over there screaming. Everybody get your phones out. Oh, buddy. Way ahead of you. God damn, I'm out of shape, guys. Fuck. That's what 3 months in quarantine will do to you. I'm kidding. Anybody that knows me knows I was already out of shape. Y'all have jobs. I love people to ask that. It's so fucking stupid. That's like a way to denigrate the movement, like they're a bunch of out of work bums. You realize that everyone is fucking out of work, right? Do you know the unemployment numbers right now? Shut down the comments? Like what, completely? Why? Should I? Amanda? Should I? Is that like a fucking deal? Okay, what? So there's a bunch of fucking idiots in the chat. Like, ignore them. I'll deal with them later.
Gotta find some hand sanitizer.
Oh, you're good.
Real quick.
Yeah, I'll deal with them later. It's a more important. You know what? If you want, they're just a bunch of fucking idiots.
Like
scroll your comments to the right and just ignore them for a while. Don't let the whatever's happening here get lost.
But everybody held the line.
Wait, fuck, where'd they go? Okay. I'm gonna go back up to the middle point because I want to be able to see if something happens. It looks like. Actually, let me ask somebody that might have been standing here. Have the cops tried to breach any other side?
The other barricade.
No. They tried over there, and then they bike cops just started running this way. So everyone started going this way, trying to block anywhere they might come from.
Why are there
over there
4 cops inside when before there were 2?
Gotta remember to center
what's done is
the
done. You know, we got to move on. I think right now the plan is to
who've lost their lives.
Get the cops that are in there to go, but not let any more in.
Yeah.
So that's.
How do you suppose we get them to go?
Oh, they have to go sometime. I mean, they gotta go home sometime, right?
Where's the fire? Is there food or water in the precinct?
Whatever. I'm fine with this. I'm fine with this. Sit in and trap them in too, but I don't. That's whatever they want to do. You know.
There's 16 people here murdered by the police.
I'm just here to follow instructions.
To show all the unarmed black people murdered by
Instructions about
police
leadership.
between 2013 2019 alone. It would take another 477.
Well, I guess just make sure everybody over here knows that they could be coming from that side or this side. I don't think they come. I think a lot of these people already are aware, but oh, it's okay. No, you're good. So the cops tried to penetrate that barrier over there on the right side. We fucking forced them back, and then they looked real pissed off and just took their bikes and started riding that way on that street this way. So everyone, that's why you might have seen a bunch of people run this way, because we expected them to be trying to come in from one of these sides. Yeah, no worries. Whew, fuck, I'm out of shape. Okay. Yeah, it is like a circus, but if you mean that in a racist way, you're fucked on my stream. Okay. Trash
like
leftist. Well, that's easy.
Some of the paneling
I
was
could do that
taken
right
down.
in my sleep. Trash leftist blocked. I know. Okay, let's see. Pearl, why do you always call you Pearl? Pearl, what's up? What are you laughing at? Oh.
Capitol
Sorry.
Hill autonomous zone right here.
Yesterday I streamed for like over 4,500 people, and I totally didn't expect something like that to happen, and I was so nervous.
Trying to remind people
And then like later on I go back and
Black
you know how
Lives
like you
Matter
hear your voice on the
movement
phone, you're like,
is part
God,
of
I
this
sound like a
work.
moron. It's just like that all night. Jamie, bye Felicia. Pansies, yeah. If you were talking about the cops, you want. Yeah, it's Joey Weiser. guy kind of irritates me. I've seen him several times try to step in and, you know, kind of intervene when it wasn't his place. Is this something that everyone's been briefed on? Are you Joey? Yeah. I like your stream, man. I think we might be actually competing on woke for yeah. I don't even know how it gets on this. No competition. Yeah, I think that, no, I was just kidding, you know. But I think they
I don't even know how it gets on there, so no competition. Like,
yeah, I think that, no, I was just kidding. Yeah, for real. Either one of us could be on the audio there, so yeah, thank you, woke. Either one of us could be on the audio there, so like, yeah, so yeah, thank you, woke. Yeah, I do love your stream though, thank you. I didn't mean for that to sound so like competitive. No, it's just
zone. Right now we're in Cal Anderson Park, headed over to some of the
okay, I think I can kind of focus a little bit more.
Did
they just leave? Is that what it was?
Figuring out where
maybe they just left and they were like, well, we'll figure out how to deal with this later.
You can bring them to this park right here, Cal Anderson.
I am, thank you. I know that. But the question is, am I on the sound on
tents and tables set up to serve the community?
Huh?
The car,
Tell Joey we say hi. I already walked away from him. Yeah, I should have mentioned that a lot of the people watching me probably watch him. Yeah, I don't know if I could plug him. I'd love to. He's a great guy. It's like Joey. I think it's Joey Weiser on Facebook. You should follow. If I'm not streaming, obviously I want you to watch my stream if I'm streaming. But if I'm not, go to Joey Weiser. He's pretty great. Omari's good. Well, Omari's really good, but his neutral stance has been like really annoying lately. I mean, I know it's like journalistic integrity, and it's good. Hey. Just trying to be friendly to the neighbors. Did you guys see that, by the way? That's they moved the gate to the side and let cars through.
Lisa,
just to let you know.
Yeah. So we got a lot of street art out here. I think somebody asked me yesterday, what's my favorite part about this space so far, or what do I think is the most intriguing? And I just got to say, it's the art. I mean, it's beautiful. Folks came out of nowhere with, well, what seems to me like out of nowhere. I'm so out of touch. I don't have an artistic bone in my body. But man, like, folks just came out with these like murals the size of buildings and just beautiful graffiti art on the walls. People are out here recording music videos. Black folks, you know, really owning and claiming the space as theirs. It's been a really cool sight to see. And just the mutual aid, mutual support from everybody here on the ground. Nobody's charging anything for everything. You just can go up and take it if you need it, leave something if you can. And obviously there's been an outpouring of support from the community, asking where they can bring donations and such. I appreciate all those asks. Again, I'm not an organizer here on the ground. I'm just, you know, sort of a documentarian who inserts some, you know, hot takes from here and there. I know this man here is a native elder in our community. He had, I believe, a cousin or a brother. I think it was his brother by the name of John T. Williams, who was